If you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I am Tom Connors. We have with us this morning a full panel, and maybe even more guests joining as we go along. We have Culture Casino. How you doing?
Good.
We have a pair of Canadians here, Script Doctor.
Hey, oddly enough, I'm just getting a call, so I'll be back in just a moment. Sorry, guys. Bad timing.
He's so bougie important. We also have with us Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Good. He's just doing that to up his cred. He doesn't really have a call.
No, he's just pretending.
He's just
It's not even a real phone. See, I don't see no cord.
No, it's not even a
it's
real
only
phone.
when they pretend to be on the phone and then it actually rings.
That's right. Oh, hello. Bing. Oh, it's a second call
waiting. We also have, of course, the boss man, Andre. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Greetings, everyone.
How's everybody doing?
Good. What's it? Wednesday.
Yeah, it is. Middle of the week. Mittwoch, as they say in
Middle
Germany.
of the week.
And I'm wearing my Biden shirt. And Kamala
shirt. Yeah, got to do some support for that side as well.
I'm
actually
going
a
to
real
be
Dumb and
forced
Dumber
to. I am going to be forced to add American politics to my appalling news channel because it's getting really dumb. Really appalling.
Yeah, at this point it's worse than B. Like, I feel sorry for people like you in the Babylon Bee. It's like when news is like this, it's like it makes itself.
I think that's what ended the Onion, that they were no longer able to keep up with reality. Like the more satire they tried to write, the New York Times just kept on upping the ante with their actual so-called news. So yeah. That's a real challenge for Babylon Bee.
I'm really shocked, actually. I know there's always been making fun of the mainstream media. I think it was our friend from Alaska.
I'm not sure that's always. I think that's in the past decade.
What's her name from Alaska? Kind of coined the lamestream media, but
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin, yeah. I think she coined that lamestream media, but I'm really shocked at just how the MSM are towing the line on a whole bunch of stories. Just lay out the facts. Don't bury the lead.
I couldn't agree more. And just reading a sampling of the headlines in the Norwegian news. I mean, I always used to say that the Norwegian news wasn't that bad. But this election cycle, seeing their reporting from what's going on across the pond in the United States, I mean, they just buy into the Democratic talking points, lock, stock, and barrel, right? You had like Pete Ducey, is that his name? The guy from Fox who confronted Karine Jean-Pierre with like, here's a list I have gotten of Democratic talking points.
She's no longer the border czar.
Yeah, no, she never was.
Apparently,
I mean,
she never
that
was.
was a different universe. She never was now. But anyway,
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
this
That
is
was
not the
that
political
was an
channel.
Earth. That was an Earth 100015 or whatever. That's not
right. I
this
think
Earth.
I think
yeah, the Large Hadron Collider created the
the only
multiverse
way we
in
can
that
talk
year.
about it is if we talk about it in reference to the TVA.
Yeah, my
It's the
God.
only way that we're allowed to talk about it, and we shouldn't. I mean, I don't want to talk about that here.
Yeah.
But
And
I have
again,
a very
for
funny
those who are
appalling
like,
news coming out.
we came here for escapism entertainment. Why
Yeah.
are you talking about this? Well, I'm very sorry, but it would blame Hollywood because they
That's
have
right. We came
basically
here for you to shit
politicized
on
everything.
Disney, not politics.
And we didn't even want to do that. Disney did that to us as well. We didn't start out that way. They made us that way.
Yeah.
I love Disney. I want to see them succeed. Not now, of course, but yeah.
Let's see what the audience is up to.
Yeah,
Ruby
let's do that.
Hoove gifted a membership. Mr. Tickle Trunk gifted 5. And Daryl Brewer, well, they're having a fight because he also gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much for that, guys. We appreciate the support. Action Com's been here for 11 months, but we know he's been here for a lot longer than that.
And we do
he's
love
our
Action Com. And
keeper of the chapters.
And so there's everyone, big ups to Action Com for helping out with the chapter times, which certainly helps with the clips. We have to get back to those clips. I've just been busy.
Yeah. Looks like Nunchuckosaurus Rex's uncle is here. Beerosaurus Rex for 14 months. Look at that.
Awesome.
And then we got let's see here. Let's start back at the top. Neil is here. How you doing, Neil? Been a while. 2-year anniversary. Says RDJ coming back as Doom. I'm disappointed. He's my favorite comic book villain, and I just want him done well, like Thanos in Infinity War. Yeah, I think he's a lot of people's favorite comic book villain as far as the Marvel universe is concerned.
Well, he's the inspiration for Darth Vader. So obviously a lot of people are disappointed to see what's being done here. But as I'm sure we'll get into, there's a twist, and WDW Pro has revealed even more details about that, which I'm pissed about because we had video that was already done by that time. But hey,
sometimes you just got to do updates.
Yeah,
you did drop that video, right?
No, not yet. Waiting for when you have a sponsor, they have to,
playing the waiting game. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about this today, Neil. And then we got Alec Baldwin's trigger finger here. Oh, Alec Baldwin. Alec is so worthless.
But Alec Baldwin's trigger finger is much better, and we are so glad to have him here.
Indeed. He says, if you're divorced like me, you aren't smashing anyone today. Oh, so go ahead and smash that like button. I see what you did there.
You are worthless, Alec Bowen. You are worthless, Alec Bowen. You failed in every way, and now my stock in you has fallen.
That's right.
So smash that like, and you get to say you smashed something today.
What the hell was that?
You ever heard that? That's
No.
from Team America. It's a hidden song at the end of the movie.
I tried to watch Team America, I think, for the second time not too long ago, and I went,
I love that movie.
I love it too, but it's so unbelievably filthy. It's a very funny movie. It's way better as an opening shocking experience.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it again.
Has AIDS. My mother. My sister.
It's not the same as watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where you're just enjoying the ebb and flow of a story.
I just think it's hilarious about how much of a role Alec Baldwin plays in the film.
It's funny. It's just so. I mean, it's brutal. It's good for them.
He even has his own song, as you see there.
I remember them saying they made a huge mistake trying to do, the puppet animation along the lines of, the British Fireball XL5. And,
yeah, they thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah,
little did they know. Yeah,
Anderson. What's the guy's name? What's the first name? Anderson?
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah, because I have all the.
Well, I love that stuff.
Super Marionation.
Super Marianimation. That's right.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Marks 11C has a question. I think this one's for
How
Script
did
Doctor, so we'll hang
cocaine
on to that
shark
one.
happen? I heard about that.
Yeah, he stole another idea.
Well,
Dark Winter sends in 2 pounds and says, any chance of Mexican Iron Man appearance? You never know.
You don't know. I do know that there is a lot of cocaine off the coast of places that are powering sharks with said Colombian marching powder.
Yeah.
I know
They
they've
like-
made submarines of their own.
Yeah.
They like the toot and snorting.
And how's the Disney share price going today? Because if it
Not
sinks,
great.
that greatly enhances the chances of a Mexican Iron Man cameo.
It's hard to
Well,
say.
Well, it was under 90 yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was bad.
well, it was under 90 a while ago, but it managed to crawl out of the basement. It's sitting at 94.58 at the moment. Somebody got
Jeez.
very
They got-
aggressively interested in it for no reason at all. Somebody's
I
trying to
think
hold
I wonder
this
if
aloft.
Deadpool and Wolverine might have helped a little bit.
But movies don't usually
No.
do
I
that.
know they normally don't, but like this is odd considering they just got sued again too.
Well, the problem with Disney is that there's so much large institutional money that they can't afford Disney to fail.
Well,
and they
it's-
haven't
Actually,
exactly-
they can. That's the
They-
thing. Because it is so large institutional money. You think BlackRock gives if Disney goes under? I mean, yeah, it's bad for their spreadsheet. They don't want it to, but if it does, I mean, it's one big company in their portfolio, but they have so many others.
Well, and we're halfway through the trading day today, and we're going great guns towards the end of the month. The broader markets are accelerating into the stratosphere today on rumors that they're going to do some things with the money supply and how it's managed. So
really, I haven't heard this. I haven't.
well, I'm just talking about the Fed rate changing. That's all.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. And, it's that, and of course, we're getting close to our selection of leaders cycle. So this is when they always play silly buggers with, whatever team they're on. So they're trying to make other people look good.
The Canadian base rate went down.
Yeah, I imagine that's what they're aiming at today here in our Fed. Not to mention the fact that Europe is still under an inflation push likes of which we've never seen. So I have a feeling that they're not going to be able to cut rates at all in the EU.
That could end tomorrow if they wanted to.
Oh, of course, yeah, they would stop. They would stop choking off the energy supply, and basically cooling the engines that allow Germany to be the power of that entire economy. But nobody's here for market and geopolitics.
Indeed,
so.
indeed. But when you have a number of us that come from that background, sometimes it might slip through. So yeah.
I can't even do the more Tom knows thing because I just went dumb.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is not something you even grasp. So why put it up?
No, I can't. It would be a lie because I have no idea what y'all are just talking
There
about.
is a rumor that the biggest EV battery manufacturer in Germany is going to sue the government for forcing them to expand their plant. And now they're almost bankrupt.
I hope they win. Because Germany has been so mismanaged.
Oh, terrible.
I mean, all of Europe has. But Europe in particular, and considering that Germany is the economic engine of all of Europe, then it's worse. Greece has always been mismanaged. It's
Yeah.
It's kind of like, who cares? Does it really have any impact for anyone else? Apologies to any Greek listening, but it's true. But Germany takes everyone down the drain with them. So it's kind of like
kill all the nuclear reactors and rely on Russian oil.
Gas, to be precise.
Russian gas.
Yeah, and then cut off the Russian gas supply. That's a fantastic plan. That's a bold strategy right there.
It was very bold.
Ironically, it worked out shit ton better for Russia than it did for anyone in Europe. But let's move on here. We have a couple more super chats. Then we
do.
need to get into the topics at hand.
Yes, Blaster Hatcher. That's a heck of a name. Sends in 7. Blaster Hatcher 7 sends in $20. Says, wish you could use the Force to make Lucasfilm make awesome movies, but like in Silent Hill, their fake religion protects them from my power. Ooh, yeah. I like that.
Religion does that.
The woke mind virus. And this one was for you, Script Doctor. How is cocaine? How did Cocaine Shark happen without me? I added the last part.
Well, it's coming along quite nicely. It's yeah, I'm waiting for another colleague to get back to me on some notes I sent them. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh,
I know I'm not
colleague.
the only one writing a Cocaine Shark screenplay.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna write my own now since you
Go
have
for
a
it.
colleague.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, Tom, you know which one you write? And you can even have Culture come help you with this since he has experience hunting them. Cocaine Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, let's do
No,
that.
you don't understand. Jaws is my jam, and it's just yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it's Cocaine Shark is wrong. It's got to be a dolphin or a whale because of the blow.
Oh.
You
I
you
think that's
said
the parody that comes later.
you
Anyway,
said on purpose.
back to the show.
you said that on porpoise, Paul.
Oh,
Anyway, back to the show. If you're not going to take this shit seriously, then this is why you shouldn't be writing a Cocaine Shark movie.
now that was a killer whale.
Oh my god,
Uh,
you guys
it
are
brings a
not
whole new
taking
meaning
this
to Free
seriously.
Willy, you know.
Well, I'll
Not
tell
taking
you
this
my
seriously
Free
in the
Willy.
least.
Don't make me tell again the story of what happened to the real Free Willy.
Oh yes, we've heard
That's a
that.
movie all in its own right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Anyway.
saying that
Hey.
they're missing a huge opportunity by. You know what? The Sharks have been abused already.
yeah,
Way
well,
too much.
hey, feel free to spout off anytime, Paul.
Oh!
If you guys don't stop it, I really am going to leave you.
Ah.
Midnight
on.
Sun
Midnight
says in
Sun.
Canadian 699, it says RDJ is miscast as Doom. I would have preferred Mads Mikkelsen. I agree.
This is bait and switch.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it is.
Oh, wasn't it leaked that there had like a different person for the Prime
Yes.
version of
They do, and when you saw the person, it's someone from the same nation as Mats Mikkelsen, but not the actual Mats Mikkelsen. And I'm like,
Oh.
couldn't you? I mean, since you were in that region anyway, couldn't you just have gotten Mats Mikkelsen and just be done with it? Because he would have been even better. I've met Mats Mikkelsen, by the way. He's a super cool guy.
And nobody remembers he was in Doctor Strange.
No one
Yeah,
cares that he was in Doctor Strange.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Mads Mikkelsen is a little bit too obvious of a choice right now at this point for Marvel Studios. They'll probably want to go with someone a little bit against the grain.
Like Diana Ross.
Diana Ross would definitely fit into that.
Or Robert Downey Jr.
Well, when you take a look at the Variety article, which is on this point here, you get a nice subtle hint that he is not playing Victor Von Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not what they said at Comic-Con, but anyway.
No, but you know
And they
what?
lied.
You could
know.
you could tell the way
What did I
he
say?
presented it. The moment he came out and threw off the the mask and did the cloak thing, and it was just a bit too twee, I went, this is bullshit. He wasn't taking this seriously.
Yeah, there's something else going on here.
Oh yeah. No, he was just enjoying it.
Well, that's
a little bit too
obvious.
much.
It's just we're sick and tired of the games.
But the games are how you market the movie. It's just that this one here is it's a big swing, given their track record. That's why.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You are 100% correct, Script. It's their track record. That's the problem here. People don't trust them. They have lost the trust of the audience. It took them a long time to do so, but they're there now. The audience no longer trusts them. And when they try to do this kind of thing, usually, or before, they would have had the goodwill that the audience would be happy to go along with it. But they don't have that goodwill anymore. So we don't trust Marvel anymore. There's no reason to trust them.
Right.
Well, I just think the whole idea is dumb. Even if they were doing good movies right now, I would still say this is dumb.
Well, it's because I wrote this on my Patreon. I strongly suspect that they're doing a Freaky Friday on this thing. And Robert Downey Jr. is playing Tony Stark, whose body has been invaded with the mind of Victor Von Doom, and that's how they're justifying it.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to believe that you are right. Or that there's some variation thereafter. And WDW Pro, I'm not going to name it here, but he named the actor who apparently is the real Doctor Doom And it's not Mads Mikkelsen, but it's someone from his country who you all know.
And who
So
has
that's
not
my
yet
favorite.
appeared in a Marvel movie.
And has
Say it
not yet
already.
appeared in a Marvel movie.
Okay.
So yeah,
You're a bigger tease than a prom date. Just say it.
I don't want to spoil it to anyone who doesn't.
Okay, they can plug their ears. Oh God, this is the worst show ever. We're not even telling the news.
Fine. If you don't want to hear it, then plug your ears the next 5 seconds. Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, we already heard that like 2 weeks ago too.
Yeah, and probably
none of this is new news. Like that's the problem. And I think he's a bad choice too. Sorry,
He's not my favorite. He's
not
interesting, but I kind of like agree. He's a very good actor. He was a very good Satan. Very good Satan. He was in what was that movie called again? It had like 2 titles. The Prophecy.
Yeah, but also it's going to be it's a Darth Vader role. It's going to be a voice only. They're not going to pay him to physically be on set unless they're doing flashbacks to show his face.
All the more reason why you should have gone with Mads Mikkelsen, because he has the better kind of like voice for it. Because Mads Mikkelsen, he can project the superiority of 1,000 years of high-born breeding of nobility. Mads Mikkelsen can project that. He is such a great actor. He can play the absolute lowest of the low and the commonest of the common and the scummest of the scum. And he's completely believable. And he can play absolute born nobility, and he can do that even better. I mean, that's how good of an actor he is. Viggo Mortensen, he doesn't quite project that, at least to me, in the same way. I mean, maybe he can surprise us. Maybe we just haven't seen that in a role of him. But I haven't.
I don't know. When he played Strider in Lord of the Rings trilogy, I mean, that there's some power behind him there.
Old too.
No, that I don't mind. I mean, Dr. Doom, he should have the maturity of someone in their 40s or 50s.
Yeah, but isn't he supposed to be close to age to read?
Yeah, they're supposed to be contemporaries.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, that's
unless
the thing.
Viggo's playing like 25 years younger.
Well, I suspect that Viggo is playing a Dr. Doom that has that was left behind in the 60s while the Fantastic Four come to modern day through some sort of means. Because I don't believe he's going to be a part of the Fantastic Four movie, but might be alluded to in it. Because it's RDJ that's signed for 3 films, 3 appearances to a degree, two in those in the Avengers films and 1 somewhere else. For a lot of money. All I have to say is whatever WME said to Disney, props to them, man. Because all the other metrics would say you're not worth that much right now.
Yeah. But actually, let's get into the first main story here. We've gotten and we got something to get us straight into it right here. Jason Webster says for $5 Australian, Robert Downey Jr. to be paid $100 million for his portrayal of Dr. Doom in both upcoming Avengers films. The Russo brothers pocket $80 million, which is fantastic, but it actually it's even more than that, isn't it, Cultured? Can you take us through what more vanity are they getting? Certainly Robert Downey Jr., because this $100 million, I mean, that just wasn't enough for an actor of his stature, was it?
No, actually, they want to make sure they take really good care of this now Oscar winner, who apparently is going to take the payday over, challenging roles going forward. And I say that all in jest. I'm just a little bit jealous of the $100 million that he's getting paid, but I'm even more jealous of the other part of this compensation deal that he's going to be collecting. He's going to get the following perks: a private jet travel, dedicated security, and a whole trailer encampment for, his reclining pleasure, his relaxation.
It's for him and his family. He's bringing
Yeah.
his kids with him too.
Yeah.
And they're going to have their own little compound, bungalow and things of that nature built for them in the UK where they're shooting the movie.
Yeah.
And probably their servants.
I think they'll be doing just fine. So congratulations to him and everything else. And Tom, you were mentioning yesterday, and he's gone. He's back. That something else was going on there that was being doled out in the UK. Do you remember what it was?
You have to refresh my memory.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what you said, so I'm at a loss. But when I remember it, I'll jump it out there. But the fact that both he and his, I guess, production company are involved in this in some way.
Oh yeah, this is the first time Marvel is actually getting our Team Downey and his production company in on the development of this film. Which means that not only does RDJ get back-end points on the gross, but he gets a little bit more before.
Yeah, I think it was Pro that actually put that out there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
from the Variety article as well.
Okay, well, Pro put it out yesterday. So
and I think it's kind of surprising in a way, but not really when you consider that Disney's been trying to get rid of any back end for any of these actors on all their contracts. I think the last back end deal that Hollywood offered was probably to Tom Cruise. This is a way of doing
similar
that.
to the Deadpool deal.
Yeah,
so
this is a way to do that without doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, they've also put in back end threshold points. So if the movie makes over $750 million gross at the box office, the Russo brothers get a back end deal point for everything on top of that. Same thing with RDJ, and then they get an additional one after $1 billion.
Right.
So it's not the normal typical, it's gross points on the deal regardless of what it makes. It's like, no, we have these thresholds put in place. If you cross this is when you get it. It's basically kind of like a net gross point deal.
Yeah, they're performance escalators is what they're called in the article. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
Well, it basically shows that Disney is kind of, or Disney, or at least Marvel is trying to say, we really need $1 billion hit, so we are going to up the incentives towards that goal, so you do everything every trick in the book to make sure that this thing gets to $1 billion from the box office, so that you get this point. And I'm like, that's normal negotiating deals. Like, you should have been doing that, never stop doing that. Essentially,
they tried to pull the plug on it. In fact, all the studios did. They were trying to get rid of any of that stuff for actors and people involved in the production out of their contracts. So.
Well, Disney was doing it rather successfully for a bit over on the Star Wars side of things, because nobody got back-end points on it, but they got a lot of money up front. And that's why some of the budgets look like they're far more inflated than what they actually spent. And again, right now, you're looking between the two Avengers movies right now, you're looking at $80 million in the hole before you even rolled film. That's already a red flag in my book, because it's like $80 million.
You mean 180?
No, one movie, just one movie. Both movies would be
you're splitting them up.
Yeah, I'm splitting them up. So 50 million for one and 40 million for the other. So that's 90 million. Sorry, 90 million per film.
Well, I wonder if 10 of that isn't for Fantastic Four. I don't think he's not going to be in. Because how do you do the next Avenger film without setting it up somehow? Right? Because that's the other thing is, this is where I'm kind of worried about this movie beyond just the stupidity of it. The first Avengers films, like, they everything built up to Infinity War, and they're trying to build this up like it's the next Infinity War Endgame bit, right? You had 10 years built up to that. We just basically had them go, yeah, we fucked up on Kang, so we're going to start over here, right? And we're literally going to get one movie leading into the next Avengers film, unless they do something in the reshoots for the next two movies, which I highly doubt. I don't even see how they can really tie in all that much.
You know what that reminds me of, Tom? What you said right there, where they had one plan, and then they had to start over. This, to me, sounds an awful lot like what happened with Star Trek Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, after Rian
Star
Johnson.
Wars, you mean?
Did I not say that? What did I say?
You said Star Trek, but
okay. Well, they're both ruined now. But Star Wars, yeah. After Rian Johnson basically closed off all story threads in The Last Jedi, so they had to start over, new villain and everything. And did this benefit the Rise of Skywalker in any way, shape, or form whatsoever? No. But I see the same thing here. They talk about how incredibly important Captain America 4 is going to be. So I can only imagine that there must be some kind of setup for Civil War in that. But there's
the next
probably
Avengers.
not going to be anything in Thunderbolts. So then you're right. Then you go straight into the Doom
Fantastic
movie
Four.
without any setup. When's
Yeah,
the
'cause
Fantastic Four movie out?
that comes out 2 weeks or a week after Superman.
Well, it's supposed to be actually almost up against Superman for the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you have
It's
fine.
gonna
Then
be
you have
pushed back.
one movie.
I think Script's right. It's going to get pushed back because Superman just finished shooting.
Superman
They
just
barely
finished shooting.
started shooting Fantastic Four.
Thunderbolts is still wrapping up production. They finished the reshoots, the fourth set of reshoots for Brave New World, which I'm assuming is going to have some significant lead up for the next Avengers thing.
Probably end title sequence or something.
Maybe who knows what it's going to be, but the fact of the matter is that they've had this plan since as early as November of last year, and there's already been a significant reshoot for Brave New World since the beginning of this year. So it strikes me that Brave New World has been retooled to actually help build in towards this doomsday premise.
Probably. And here's where I'm seeing the problem, right? Feige needs somebody like James Gunn to come in and kind of oversee everything with him. An actual storyteller. Because that's the only time things worked, right? Was when he came on board and they're like, well, we got Thanos, but we don't know what we're going to do with him. So, like, yeah, for those who may not know this story already, basically when they showed Thanos at the end of the Avengers, they had no idea what they were going to do. There was no plan. I mean, people talk about there being no plan going into Star Wars. That's not 100% true. JJ actually did outline a plan. Rian Johnson decided to toss it out the window. And that's why, as Andre was pointing out, Rise of Skywalker became the world's most expensive Twitter war between directors. And Marvel was on the same road of just going nowhere until James Gunn came in and mapped out the entire Infinity Saga. So he's basically the one who's responsible for pinpointing all the major events between Guardians of the Galaxy and Endgame. They didn't have anybody doing that now. They've been running without somebody controlling the ship at all because every single one of their plans has been changed. And somebody even made the joke, and I found it hilariously. It's like, because they could do this. They said they should just keep announcing Avenger movies that never come out. Because how many Avenger movies now have they announced with titles that we're never going to get?
3, I think.
I was going to say at least 2 or 3.
And well, I mean, 2 of those now have been retitled to
Kang Dynasty and Secret War, yeah.
And then the Kang Dynasty has been kind of shoved aside. The other part you also have to remember is that Steve Marcus and Chris McFeely were writers of 9 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe properties, most of those being feature films. So even with James Gunn's plan, you had 2 very competent writers who wrote some of the best stuff. We're talking about the Captain America trilogy.
Now, did you check in on that? Are both guys coming back, or is just the one, or what's the deal there?
I'm still waiting to get confirmation because, I mean, it would be foolish for Marvel not to bring them back because, 1, they're friends with the Russos.
Yeah.
2, again, they have a massive amount of experience working under MCU during the best conditions that were there. They were the ones that left after Infinity War and Endgame because they wrote those 2 movies. So yeah, they should be coming back to do this because they're your best bet of actually at least making a satisfying and entertaining pair of Avengers films.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had a break for a while. I mean, they're already, I think the stuff that they're working on with the Russos before they were doing this announcement has been shuttered for the moment because they have to get to filming Doomsday, I think before September of this year. So yeah, it's the fact that there hasn't been an announcement yet, or if it's been downplayed, is actually really bad for the optics of this, because maybe the Marvel fans don't know in general. Like maybe there's like, oh yeah, the Russos, they're the brilliant people behind it. They're thinking, late 1990s. Yes, the directors are what makes the movies good, not the fact that they actually have to narrate this script that was worked on for a couple of years to make it worthy enough to be shown. So yeah, because we've seen the Russos when they write and direct on their own with Citadel and with some of the other stuff they've done, it's not good. So right now they're just banking on the reputation with, okay, the Russos back with Marvel. They did, Civil War. They did Winter Soldier. They did Infinity War. They did Endgame. We love them.
Well, and let's not forget, you also have Robert Downey Jr. now throwing in his creative hat Which, let's be real, he's no Jack Nicholson.
He's not. He brought in Shane Black for Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 was fun, but it was not to the level of better Iron Man.
We got the least amount of Iron Man in that movie.
Yeah. Well, that's also because, again, Robert Downey Jr., after he did the first one, he's like, hey, is there any way you could actually have me not in the bulky suit all the time? And then they invented the chest piece with the motion capture arms and legs. And then once they got to Avengers, they basically just put him into a motion capture suit. And he's been doing that all the time. Like, he's never really actually worn any prop armor or anything of that nature since, because it's too much. And you're going to suggest to me that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back and he's going to not only wear a mask to cover his face, and we're not going to get an internal shot like what he did with Iron Man, where he's just sitting on a chair in front of a blue screen and they're filming him for.
Well, you know, we are if they're paying him that damn much.
Yeah, if they're paying him that much, you're using his face, which means that there's way more going on. Because as arrogant as Marvel has been, the one thing they know they cannot pull off is they cannot do a Doctor Doom with him not wearing the mask all the time. The whole idea, the mystery of Doctor Doom, is we don't know the level of the scars on his face. Jack Kirby's of the mindset that it's a nothing blemish, and boom, Victor Von Doom is incredibly vain, which I like as well. But we can't know that for sure, because that's the mystery that allows us to really connect with and hate Doctor Doom. And if Feige and co is going to say, yeah, we're going to do Doctor Doom, but we're never going to put the mask on him, like, fans are real up.
Oh, he'll have the mask on, but I don't know if it'll be fused onto him. That's the part where I'm not so sure.
Well, Doctor Doom fuses that on much later in the comics.
Well, yeah, Pedro Pascal was such a fan of having the Mandalorian mask on all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, he didn't revolt against that.
So basically, you need someone like Carl Urban who will recognize that this is part of the character and insist the mask do not come up, because if it does, he isn't accepting the role. I mean, this was, like, for instance, a condition for him to play Judge Dredd, was that
basically
of his face, because that would not be true to the comics.
Basically, what Script said earlier, you're casting a voice, not an actual actor per se,
and
face.
Yeah, and that's why I think Viggo Mortensen
could have been James Earl Jones, as far as that goes.
But works. Sorry. The other part too, and I actually reached out to a former Team Downey assistant who she actually left their thing and just shortly after Endgame, and I just asked her, like, what are your thoughts on this? And she was telling me that there's no way Susan would let him return to the MCU to play another character that isn't Tony Stark, because she knows marketing well enough.
Right. Well, and I kind of said that too. It's eventually going to be a bait and switch.
I mean, yeah, it is. Sorts. And you know, I think if they can pull it off, it'll be brilliant. But that's the big if. You know, if they can pull it off. I mean, I just think of it this way: what's more doom threatening than, you know, Victor Von Doom having all the resources of Stark Industries in the MCU at his disposal? That's a pretty big doomsday situation.
Well, the other side of this is these movies are going to cost about $500 million each. There's no way around that. When you're already this much in, when you're nearly $100 million in already with your one star and and your two directors, and that's not counting all the other, you know, Tom Holland and everybody else who is going to get a big payday on top of it all. Because, like it or not, even if Mark Ruffalo shows up for a little bit, he's going to probably make $10 million.
Well, and that was the point I was trying to make the other day. You're looking at most of the expense of this film tied up in salaries. I mean,
which was their prop. This is what I made this analogy yesterday, and it's convoluted, but basically it's true. It's like if they looked at, like, if you had a factory and you're like, look at all this workforce we have. It would be so much cheaper if we brought in this brand new workforce from overseas, right? So you do that, and then they do such a piss poor job that they destroy your business, destroy the actual, like, equipment and everything that you make, you know, whatever it is you're doohickeys with. And then finally, you know, you're like, you know what, we gotta repair all this mess now and bring back the original workforce. And since you pissed them off and fired them, now you end up having to pay them 2-3 times what you normally would have before. So all the money you thought you were going to save just went out the window. And that's kind of what they were trying to set up and do. We know this since back in Endgame, when Feige had it in his head that he was going to replace all the Avengers with younger, new versions of them. Not like the girl versions, like actually have somebody else play Captain America and somebody else play, Iron Man and so on and so forth.
And then
So they could
someone
be
in those offices
cheaper.
said, why do that? Why screw around with continuity when we can just pass on the mantles and maybe we can bring in these
Well-
female versions of the character because that's the new thing I'm hearing over on the scuttlebutt. And it's like, this is now
That
an
was
admission
part of the
that's
deal
new.
already too. But like his whole thing was, he was saying then is that the price of these movies are getting too expensive because of the actors. Because across the board on Endgame, you had everybody from like Robert Downey Jr. made what?
He made
$20
$50
million
million
or 50 million
for the
between the
last two
two.
films. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. And then even Brie Larson alone got paid like 13 million for her little bit that she did.
She
So
had
that's
$5
just an
million up
idea.
front for $5 million up front for Captain Marvel, with I think $8 million for two more appearances, one of them being a feature film.
I thought it was a little more than that. But either way, point being is like, yeah, she was the highest paid first time actor in the MCU
Mhm.
because of her damn Oscar, and she was overpaid if you ask me. But yeah, so basically the whole point is now you got to bring all these actors back, and every time they come back, it gets usually is more and more and more, especially if you didn't already have a contract with them, like Script was saying.
Yeah, but Disney's the one that poorly negotiated. They're the ones that said, "Oh, okay, so RDJ, you want 50 million for 2 movies? Okay, fine. We know it's worth it." It's like, no, you don't do that. You basically say, "Go do another movie. See if you actually bring in the same box office numbers." Oh, look at that. Bombed. Come. Okay, yeah, this is what we're going to give you. That's traditional Hollywood negotiating. Like I've already heard from rumors that Chris Evans didn't get paid much more than maybe $1 or $2 million for his appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine. And he got pittance to appear in Fall Guy for that cameo. So we already know that whatever his quote is, it's lowered. And even with RDJ's Best Supporting Actor Oscar, I think giving him $100 million for 2 films is, I don't know what WME said or how they pivoted to that amount, but holy crap, that's amazing, because I don't think if Disney wasn't in a desperate position, they would never have agreed to that, I think.
It's a lot of money.
Question about that. Sorry, Culture, carry on.
No, I was just agreeing. It's a lot of money, but even weirder still was that you're dealing with 2 agencies, because the Russos are with
CAA. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, when I saw that, and it was even like shown in the article, it calling that out as something odd. It is odd, but look, I mean, people know the people around them that make them successful. Good company owners, good CEOs, that they do the same thing. They find the smart people, and they surround themselves with them, and they are all more successful together. But that is just a weird thing to get, to be that insistent on somebody else that isn't even in your agency. It's just odd.
Well, it's just about the team up.
Yeah.
That's why. Like, what's the best way that Tony Stark went out and what happened to Tom? What's the best way that Tony Stark went out and was beloved by the fans as a result? Well, it was in the last 2 Russo films that he did, and he had a lot of fun doing that. So that's his preference. He's like, if you guys want me, I want them. And doesn't matter that, I mean, the other part too is it looks a little bit better for agents in general, because you don't have the same type of packaging deals where it's like, well, no, WME is not going to convince Robert Downey Jr. to pick a director that they represent so that they get more money on the back end. No, they're just going to let RDJ say, yeah, I want the Russos, bring in the Russos. Let's do it with them.
If you're getting a piece of $50 million, you'll let him pick whatever he wants.
You should be, yeah.
I have a question about that to everyone here, because we now know how well it's going to be more with all the backends and everything, and probably it's like first that he gets, like, I would imagine he gets a percentage point of the first dollar gross, which in a sense makes those movies even more expensive, and it raises the bar for success quite considerably where the studio is concerned. My question is this really worth it, or would they, in light of the box office that Wolverine and Deadpool are enjoying right now, have been better off realizing, you know what, we actually have 2 anchor beings in the MCU right now that the audience have voted for with their dollars? Would they not be better off giving them an increased presence in the MCU going forward, which of course would have been expensive, but I believe it would have been far less expensive than getting Robert Downey Jr. back, and I also believe much less risky. Because here they're going to do something really convoluted, crossing over Doom with Tony Stark, something with the multiverse. We don't know exactly, but it sounds convoluted as hell. And I think it's a very big risk that it's not going to play out or go down as well as they hope. We don't know. To me, it just seems like a much more straightforward way of success with a far greater probability of it succeeding would be more projects centered around Wolverine and Deadpool going forward, as opposed to these two super duper expensive Avengers movies. Paul, am I completely wrong? Are they doing the right thing, spending all of this money right here, leaving Deadpool and Wolverine hanging because we don't know when they will be coming back, and they're the ones with the record-breaking movie?
I think there's a bigger problem, is that you've got a studio like Disney that has spent so much money lavishly that everyone's going to take advantage of it. They can't pull back anymore. I mean, one of the tough things about working with Fox is that they were penny pinchers, right? I mean, they were notorious penny pinchers, but that was their reputation. So when you went in to do a movie with them, you kind of knew what was going on, right? Disney's just out of control. In many ways, thinking back to the time where even back in the 90s, people were complaining about Fox. Now I'm going, wow, no, they had it right. Because you need to have control over it. I mean, I remember the budgets for Singer's X-Men.
75 million, something like that.
It was small, but they did it in Toronto, and I saw some of the filming, and
I was an extra in that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Little kid.
Wow.
Told not to go near the director.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's another story. But and the point was, they just knew their business, and they went, we're not going to spend a lot. We're going to find out what's going on. This is a bit of a taste. We're just dipping our toe in this world, and we're not going to blow our brains out. And they gave a whole bunch of people a new opportunity. I mean, if Fox was still running, like if they got to run all the Marvel, they would have recast everybody once everybody got way too expensive.
Yeah. Well, the other part too,
no
is
doubt.
that, so,
pardon me?
Well, the other part too is that Disney's opened up the floodgates with regards to how much money you can get out of them, and it's going to actually temper creativity as opposed to fostering it.
And that's my problem. People don't understand that. Even though you're bitching about the budgets, it actually helps with the creativity. It's a weird thing. It's not. I don't wish it on anybody, but the Prisoner would never have gotten that phenomenal a weather balloon creature without serendipity and anxiety and things like that. Necessity is the mother of invention, and Disney just has drained that. You do need a bit of that hardship. I hate to say it.
Yeah, because what it does is it forces the creative team to reappropriate what is actually valuable to the story,
right,
and what is actually feasible that they can do. And if they have no limits on that, that's how you get garbage, because nothing now has an escalation point. It's like, oh, this scene is really cool, but now this scene is really cool. Well, you have to build to that to make one's more special than the other so that people actually have a response to it. Now, going back to Andre, and again, a lot of people are speculating on this. They're probably right, but I suspect that they might be going in a different direction. And I don't think this is going to be a variant story issue. The reason being is that, number one, Disney is already well aware with the test audiences and the reception that Gamora, being a variant of the original one, did not play well. And number two, they're aware that Tony Stark Iron Man, you cannot bring in a variant of him and have him replace the one that died on Endgame, because fans are going to acknowledge that is not the original Tony Stark that started the MCU. You're going to have an imposter syndrome appeal to him afterwards. However, there's one thing that happened with Endgame, whether it was deliberate or just by a happy accident, and that is, we don't know what happened to Tony Stark's body. We never saw a tombstone. We never saw a casket. We never saw it buried. We never saw it cremated. All we saw was his arc reactor put on a reef and put out to a lake. So a good writer would say, we're going to use that as an opening to bring back the original Tony Stark somehow. And that's most likely what they're going to do, because that's the only way you can actually create a little bit of authenticity with regards to the continuity of the MCU. You bring in a variant Tony Stark from another universe,
No, that's terrible.
it's going to be a bad idea. And
Yeah.
it's not, and you're always going to have subconsciously from all the fans, they're all going to say, well, that's not the original Tony Stark I like. Even though he says a lot of the same things and everything, he's not the original Tony Stark. And the way they were able to pull it off with Wolverine is the fact that they just said, no, it's not the Logan, but we're just going to make this brand new character. And we're just going to spend an entire movie learning about this character. And that's
weirdly that worked. Like
that worked because it was a comedy, but it was also because we've already seen the body dead, and we already saw the skeleton, and we already know, all right, he ain't coming back. And the other part too is we already know this doesn't take place in the MCU. This is another universe that has been saved by Deadpool and Wolverine. That's not really part of the MCU because Paradox already said it's not part of that. We're destroying that universe. And instead, big black lady said, no, you guys are fine. You're good. We're going to walk away now.
You healed Sacred Timeline. Way to go.
Well, they saved the Sacred Timeline in addition to their own. They're not part of that. Yeah.
Well, and we're headed over, and we have lots of work to do. Maybe doing more of the sacred, whatever the stuff.
So if anything, we'll see these two pop up, but I suspect that they're going to cast someone else as Wolverine in the future.
Can they? I was just wondering whether they could have cast a person skinnier than the woman who played Cassandra. When I was watching it, the only thing that came to my mind was, man, they must have had the belt loop, on one or something like.
Or they had to puncture new holes in it to make it tighter.
Yeah. Can you no, we don't have a belt small enough for her. It's like, holy crap!
It was rail thin enough to be one of Wolverine's claws coming out of his fist.
I couldn't. That to me, that was a monstrous distraction. Was just how skinny she was. Anyway, that's a side story of complete irrelevance.
Cultured, you're back to the original question. Is it worth spending all this money to bring back Robert Downey Jr. when the ones with the most recent proven success is Deadpool and Wolverine? Why not continue doing more like that?
Here's a ridiculous answer for you. Only if it works. Look, it's a huge risk, and especially with the financial investment we're talking about. And I think that, Ryan Reynolds is a proven commodity when it comes to what he's capable of. I think that your approach to things would certainly have cost them less money and may have led them in a more audience-pleasing way. But I don't know yet. I mean, look, regardless if he's, Doom Prime or not, because obviously, I mean, part of flooding the stage with all of those bodies was telling you that there's going to be more than one Doom involved in the film.
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when you look at that, I think you could have gone another direction. I think as far as fan service goes, if as script suggests and as we often or what we likely all of us have actually already believe to be true, is they're going to try to somehow bring Tony Stark back as himself and the world that people think will be better upon his return as far as the MCU goes. I think that may be the ultimate end goal and may help fans deal with some ridiculous things that have been happening around them. But either way, until they close this multiverse garbage out and until they start having stakes, I don't think anything fixes it. There's no stakes in anything because I mean, you as they joked around in the film, they're just going to keep bringing Hugh back anytime they want to.
Till he's 90, yeah.
Yeah, till he's 90, yeah. Anytime they want to reboot or reinvigorate whatever they're doing.
Which is actually the mistake that Fox made, because what Fox made is that they actually leaned in on Hugh Jackman supporting the X-Men franchise.
Yeah.
And when he said, I have to leave, and they tried to make other X-Men movies, and they made one really great one with First Class, and then botched it up with Singer's involvement. And that failed, you have the allegory with regards to Deadpool and Wolverine. Wolverine decided not to join the team. He left, and the X-Men franchise died without him. And now he's feeling sad about that. And it all comes down to the fact that Fox decided, you know what? Maybe we should get someone else as Wolverine. Maybe we should actually work more on the scripts and stories and make those other characters shine out a bit more like they did with X-Men First Class, instead of just going back to the well of, well, who else are we going to play Wolverine? Well, the fans won't accept any other character. Yes, they will. They'll get used to it. They accepted Bond being played by different actors. They accepted Batman being played by different actors. They'll accept other actors playing Wolverine if you do a good job getting the cast and character right for the story.
Yeah, I mean, the Dark Phoenix saga is just annoying enough to have destroyed everything that they tried to do on the right side of that equation. I don't know. Like you said, they're now stuck in a manner of speaking of leaning into the X-Men now more than anything else, because it's all they have left that they haven't polluted or exploited or mined or whatever adjective you want to throw at it. I would hate to see them ruin that as well. And I think that's ultimately, with the lack of creativity, which you gentlemen have pointed out, that may be where we're headed regardless, even with the return of Tony Stark or, Robert Downey Jr.
Again, Fantastic Four is going to be the only film they have to prove whether or not they found a proper track. And Fantastic Four has notoriously failed in live action and even in animation to being successfully adapted.
Well, wait a minute now. Come on. The Corman one was great.
It was never released.
That's why, like, the other part too is, like, it was good. It was pretty good for that time of the 90s, but they've never done a Fantastic Four movie like that since. Yeah. And sorry, the reason being is that too many directors, too many people look at Fantastic Four as a superhero movie when not. It's supposed to be a sitcom, a sci-fi sitcom like Lost in Space.
Yeah,
they're doing their own thing, and then villains are doing stuff, and the government says, "Hey, FF, can you help us?" Like, we're not superheroes, yeah, but you're the smartest guy in the world. You've got a superpowered thing. You've got a flaming little brother, and you've got an invisible girl that can control force fields. Maybe you guys can do something to help us.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I actually love that idea of it being a sitcom, a family sitcom. Maybe they're leaning into that, as you suggested, from the art that we've seen so far, or perhaps you have a little more insight. But will that pay off? See, I'm in this mode where I know it sounds incredibly cynical, but I haven't seen anything coming out of anything Disney that gives me hope. This Deadpool and Wolverine film is like the first spark of life, in live action, and they accidentally got Inside Out too, right? So.
Well, listen, Hollywood is filled with accidents, both good and bad. It's par for the course. I will say something. Anyone commented on this. I was ambivalent about Pedro's, getting involved with the Fantastic Four.
You don't think he's going to be a good read?
You know what? Not anymore. I mean, I think he can act it, but I'm suddenly going, you know what? He's a bit too old. And when he sort of put his hands around the waist of Sue Storm, who he's supposed to be connected to, I got this creepy old man, young girl vibe.
But that's Fantastic Four. I mean, Reed Richards is like 15, 20 years older than Sue Storm.
Is he?
Yep.
May, September, you don't like those?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It looked a bit...
The question I have is he going to wash his face and get rid of that horrible facial hair he keeps sporting that isn't fully grown in like an adult?
He can't. He's a Chicano. I mean, can't be done.
He's a scruffy nerf herder.
Because
I was a huge scientist. I mean, I've got a ton of Fantastic Four. I never really got that. Interestingly, I never got that sense of him being that much older than her.
Well, yeah, because Sue Storm's only a few years older than Johnny Storm, and Johnny Storm's like a teenager at the time.
Yeah, they're brother and sister.
And listen, I think Pedro Pascal is more like Hollywood, or in this case, Disney, just really leaning into their guy as opposed to getting the right person for the role. Because as weird as it is to say, Anson Mount was wasted as Black Bolt in the Inhumans, but he looks like Alex Ross's interpretation of Reed Richards, like to a T. Square jaw. He also has a very authoritative voice. He's also one of the few actors who knows how to say complicated words and convince you that he knows what those words mean.
Anson would have been a great Reed Richards.
he would have been perfect for it. He's
That would've
also
worked,
built
yeah.
better, more like a man than Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, he does. Pascal has a very slight build, so it's going to be hard to.
There's a softness about him that you wouldn't see from a rigid nerd who it would actually get lost for days in a lab experiment.
We needed John Hamm as
John Hamm would have been great too. Yeah,
he would have been perfect, but they
John
needed to
Hamm's
have
like
done
60
it 10
right now,
years
so-
ago. Yeah, he
Yeah,
needed to
John
do it
Hamm's
10
a
or
bit too
10
old.
or 15 years ago, like right about the time he finished X-Men or Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Mad Men to X-Men. That'd have been perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just all you have to do is use the same logo and get rid of Mad, and then put an X there, and you'd save a ton of money.
Just do a stamp X over top of it.
Yes, that's right. A sticker. Put like a sticker. Over
I mean,
top.
and what's funny is he's coming straight out of a period, thing, going into another period thing at that point.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Actually, one of the funniest things in the DVD days is that when someone has produced 100,000 DVDs, and then that they screwed something up, and then they had to the cheapest thing to do was to just get a sticker.
Yep.
And get a shit ton of people just putting the sticker over top of the text that was at the bottom. Oh my. Anyways, those were the days.
Okay. Are you going to sit
Weird
down at the
memories.
piano with
Indeed. Let's move on with some super chats here. And we're going to try
Sounds
to do the ones that connect to this topic here first. So let's see. So much about Cocaine Shark. We'll get to it. ActionCom says for $5, what insane perks would this panel ask for you if you were in Robert Downey Jr.'s position? I'd have a constant dish of M&Ms with brown ones removed.
Well, that's only to make sure that they've read the contract.
They read the contract. Yeah, that's correct.
I don't know. I'd probably get in personal trainer, private chef, cable, all the streaming services. There's just a bunch of stuff to entertain my family while I'm working. A 12-hour day. Yeah.
And before we move on, let's throw this same question to our guest for today, George the Giant Slayer.
Hey,
how you doing?
How's it
my
going?
friend? Great to be here. Thank you for having me on
Howdy,
again.
Yuri.
How you doing, Paul?
Good
Script,
to see you.
culture, Andre.
Yeah.
What's going on?
We were just talking about Robert Downey Jr.'s mega deal and how he's getting private jet flights and trailers for him and his family and everything like that. So ActionCom wondered, if you were in his position, what insane things would you demand of the studio in order to be in the movie?
Naked women throwing pickles at me.
Wow. That's oddly specific.
I don't know. I remember a real genius. Come on, being on top of a volcano with naked women throwing pickles at you. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, at this point, Robert Downey Jr. has everything he wants. I was looking back while I was working on a video, and I found 3 different estimates that since he's been in the MCU, he's generated anywhere from $300 million to $700 million. So, I mean, at this point, it's like, what would he want? I mean, jet he's got, I guess I would think, I mean, are we going crazy here or actually trying to stick to some kind of...
That's up to you. I mean, how crazy you want to be. I'm sure that whenever they offer the actors deals like this, they're probably thinking, please don't be crazy. Please don't be crazy. Please be halfway reasonable. Make it be something we can meet you on.
Well, I guess he could always do a Kevin Costner's a deal where he's like, I've had this movie, this epic that I've wanted to make my entire life. I want you to fund it. I mean, I could see something like that going on. Or, I mean, when you have everything, it then boils down to what you love. It would boil down to what you love. And ever since he has pretty much cleaned up his act, I'm like, really, what would that be? He's into Wang Chung. He's got his family, jet trips. He's got the celebrity status. I would just say a film that he wants, some type of an epic.
Yeah, I think that Disney probably could survive with those terms.
Yeah. Besides the naked girls and the volcano.
I think they could probably survive with those as well and push them to shove. But,
What were y'all saying? What was the consensus around the board?
Oh, we haven't really gotten to that consensus yet. So who wants to go next with their crazy demands?
Wow. I know my demands are extremely modest. I would like my son to finally finish his Datsun 240Z. He's been building it for 5 years. That's it. I would try to get help for him to just finally finish it off.
So your son's Tim the Toolman Taylor, the car in the garage that he's been building for 5 seasons.
Yes, that's exactly right.
But if you were Robert Downey Jr., what would you ask?
Wow. Well, again, you know what? He knows himself well enough that maybe when he was younger, he might have had a bit more hubris and wanted to get, a movie that he wanted. He might have had a book, in his possession that he would love to get shot, sort of like Bill Murray's silly
Razor's Edge. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was silly, but I mean, he demanded it, wanted to do it. It failed. And he went, you know what? I'm just going to stay the course. Every single actor has that moment in their career, or the successful actor has got that moment in the career where, you know what? It's like Shatner's character in Free Enterprise, where he wants to do King Lear. But every single
one man show,
one man show of King Lear, and he's going to do every single character. I mean, yeah, I love that
King Lear was
moment
Julius Caesar, but one of the two, yeah.
You know what?
Maybe a guarantee that they never make another Marvels.
I would want one of my sitcoms produced. There's that. I have a lot of sitcom ideas, and I'd want Disney to at least let me shoot the pilot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Anyone else?
It took me a long time to get to that.
Well, I've had my eye on a couple of islands in the South Pacific.
And a tea service.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah, that is the good point.
How about you? How about you, Andre?
You know what? I'm a little bit with what you were saying. I was like, okay, I have myself sorted. I don't just want my kids to be Nepo kids, so I'm going to need an internship here. So I don't have to struggle in the future work market. I think I would probably demand for that. It's like, okay, now it's no longer about me. Now it's about my family. And I don't want it just to be daddy's money. They're going to have to work for something and not working full-time jobs trying to get the job. So yeah, internship, baby. I think something like that.
I just realized that I misread the question. I thought it was what would RDJ do. I didn't know it was what.
No, it's what would you ask?
Oh, that's why I was sitting here going, yeah, no, not obviously not the pickle thing, but that would be interesting. I think Andre's was the best. I mean, to make sure my family is taken care of, that I would create an incentive-based cycle where they would have to work, where there would be money set up in a trust that would be a financial backstop for them. So in case of any emergency, but it's not something they could access unless they work their ass off. And with each,
exactly, that's what I mean. That's why I said internship. I don't want them just to be Nepo babies and little uses. They're gonna have to work for it. So internship, because otherwise, I know the way things are going with AI, stuff like that, is getting more and more difficult to get jobs as it is right now. It's not gonna get any easier in the time to come. So yeah, that's what I would.
And I'd like to make my movie. Script knows.
Yeah.
I'd like to make my movie. I've always.
And George, when you're here, tell us before we move on here, what do you feel about this entire Robert Downey Jr. deal?
You mean the Doom? The Doom.
Yeah, the whole ordeal.
The whole ordeal. Well, I feel like it's a desperation move from Disney. That was the first thing that it struck me. For a second there when I saw it, I was like, okay. I mean, I saw the audience erupt and I was like, oh, right. It just feels desperate to me. Is it going to be good? I really have no idea. They're bringing the Russo brothers back, but I'm just going to say it again. Desperation. Is this a true reboot of the universe? Is that what Disney is trying to show us? Is the MCU?
Nope.
See,
definitely not.
I agree with Script, but all I keep hearing is this is the start of a soft reboot. You know, they got rid of Kang, I believe, completely now, so they're going to go. Or is this basically key jangling? Either way I look at it, there is a small part of me, a very small part of me, as a fan of Robert Downey Jr.'s, which was interested for a moment. You know, when he took off that mask, I was like, oh, and then my brain was like, no. I just think it's kind of like a very expensive, cheap parlor trick. If that makes sense. I just think it's a expensive, cheap parlor trick. I mean, they want to get the fan base back, but here's my question: without the writing, without the story that I think phase 1 through 3 had, will it make any difference? I mean, if you still have the teams together that brought us the Marvels, the whole Disney Plus era of
They do. That's the team. That's the team going forward here. And
the Marvels, no, they're fired.
Yeah,
that team's gone.
Right, but what about I'm talking about all of their teams, the Disney Plus teams, all of those that work on the MCU.
The brain thrust around Kevin Feige, they're still there. And
yeah, the brain thrust is
on their watch.
They've already fired at least 15 activist producers there that were part of like the Marvels and all the flops that they've had. They've gotten rid of them. So the question is like, we have not caught confirmation yet if Christopher Marks and Steve McFeely, who wrote 9 of the most successful Marvel properties during those first 3 phases, are coming back with the Russos. If they are, a better movie than what we've already seen with that. But that's still a low bar to clear.
Well, then I have one question to finish my in order to finish my thought.
Sure.
With everything that they're giving Robert Downey Jr., will he be able to have any say in how the movie is scripted, storied, or laid out? Like if he goes, no, this doesn't work. I mean, because if he has that kind of input into it, then I would think that the movie would be much better.
Well, he's had that kind of input into it since Iron Man, the very first one. Only this time now his production company is getting a piece of this as well, because it's a co-produced, financed with Marvel Studios, Disney, and his Team Downey production company, which is something else called, I can't remember the name offhand right now. So yeah, he's got his control in there. And the other part too, he's made a couple of public statements saying he would only ever return to the Tony Stark role if he was able to do something with it he's never done before. And one of the roles he has never done before is he's never played a Freaky Friday role in that regard.
That's interesting. But my point is this, the one thing I haven't been able to get clear is this going to be a one-off, or is Doom going to become the new villain?
I think Doom is going to follow a similar pattern to what they did with Thanos. Okay. And if they do anything with Kang will be put into the Loki position, because before they even did the Thanos and the Infinity Saga, Loki was going to be the MCU big bad. And then they sidestepped him so that he was the bridge to Thanos. And I think that's what they're going to do here. But in regards to the sidestepping of Loki, they just used him in different areas that benefited fans of Loki. In this case, there's no real fans of Kang, so they're just going to kind of find a way to dispose of him some way. And Doom would have been the guy, the orchestrator, the mastermind behind the whole thing, if they were going to write it similar to what they did with the Thanos storylines. It feels like they're just going to copy a formula they've already established and using the players that they have to just sub into those existing roles.
Oh, that makes sense. Are we allowed to say Deadpool spoilers, or are we not there yet? Because it actually ends. It's part of my statement.
I think that we can start getting into Deadpool spoilers now,
considering Variety and all them have been spoiling it anyway.
I think that now we have been avoiding Deadpool spoilers for a week now, but now I think we have gotten to the point that the movie has been out for so long, it has been seen by so many, and if you still don't want Deadpool spoilers, you probably shouldn't be watching anything online, period. And if you still don't want them, you have been warned. Here be Deadpool spoilers. Carry on, George.
Okay, well, I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine with my brother Sendek, and there was something at the end which I was like, oh, the MCU is actually going to correct. They're going to change course. They're going to correct course, but they didn't. Right at the end, remember before you had, right after you had Wolverine and Deadpool unite and do the whole thing to stop the Shredder, the Time Shredder, and save the universe. You saw that line. I actually thought, and the same thing with Syndic, he thought that they were going to collapse the entire multiverse into one timeline. I thought that's where they were going to course correct.
No.
So going back to my RDJ, if they don't, in my opinion, if they don't get rid of the entire multiverse, I think it's still going to have the same problems. Look, I think one of the reasons that Deadpool and Wolverine succeeded is because you didn't have Saturday homework, a Sunday sermon, and a Monday regretful hangover. I mean, it was just, forget the story. I didn't think there was much of a story, but it didn't really matter. It was fun. At least for me, it was just plain silly fun. But the multiverse just creates, it works in comics to a degree, but on film, there's no consequences. And
well, the thing is, you make the consequences by establishing that there's a sacred timeline and that all the other ones are disposable.
Mhm.
That's where the consequences come from. Whether those are effective, well, they haven't been doing it effectively at all. I mean, they tried to with the whole idea of the anchor character, but they completely threw that idea out at the end of the day. And as a lot of people speculated that they thought, oh, this is going to be a soft reboot. Marvel is never going to do a soft reboot. They're
Why?
not. Because the whole thing of their marketing strategy is the continuity from Iron Man to today. There's
Right,
never
what
been a franchise that's had
And
that.
we
many
don't know if
connected
they're not
movies.
going to stick with the anchor being thing.
I
I'm
get-
feeling that's why Robert Downey, they're going to use that to bring Robert Downey Jr. back into the fold.
And also, the rumors are that what you wanted to see in Deadpool, George, is what you're going to see in Secret War. That apparently is the whole point of the movie, exactly as they did with the
They're kind of setting it up, yeah.
Secret War storyline in the comics. That's where you take what you want to keep of the entire multiverse, and you stick that into one universe, and you move forward with that.
Yeah, it's called a merger.
Yeah,
They kind of set it up already with Deadpool that, yeah, I think that by the time we get to the end of the Secret Wars, there's going to be one sacred timeline, and that's it.
What I would say is this, though, is the multiverse has never appealed to me. It hasn't. I always view that as
I don't
like
think it's appealed to many people at all.
you know, a Saturday afternoon popcorn flick once, and then after that it's done. Because again, I've never felt the consequences. Like if they were to bring Stark back, well, that has nothing to do with this. Script Doctor was just saying that Marvel's not going to do a soft reboot. What I'm talking about isn't a reboot. Are they going to change their mentality into going back to how they made movies? Produced them, scripted them from phase 1 through 3. That's what I view as a reboot internally, like from an executive perspective.
Well, they're trying, aren't they, Script?
And in particular, the International Olympic Committee.
Sorry, Paul.
Quit working.
I think the fact of the matter is that they're trying to bring back the Russos and Robert Downey Jr. They're saying, trying to not so subtly say to the audience, we're going back to not necessarily basics, but we're going back to our peak, and that's kind of what we want to do. And listen, that's a better. And here's the other part too. They're never going to admit wrongdoing,
right?
Openly, they're never going to apologize. So don't expect it. They're just going to say, "This is what we're going to do now." And what did they do at Comic-Con? Well, they didn't talk about phases. They just said, "We have got these Marvel movies. We're not talking about the Disney Plus shows. We're not talking about anything else. We're going to bring in a little drone of the Fantastic Car. We're going to show you the cast. We're going to have a robot guy ask questions that he didn't prepare to read beforehand." We're going to have actors caught off guard with not knowing how to answer those questions because we are literally rushing, hitting the ground, running, and trying to get this thing course corrected. And we don't want to let you guys in on the secret.
How are they going to get the Fantastic Four into the present timeline?
I think probably with the negative zone and whatever they did to stop
They're lost in
Galactus.
space.
Yeah, that whole thing that works.
War, they'll just be whisked into Battle World by the Beyonder or something.
That's yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
My only, it's like I saw a bit of that trailer and I saw Galactus in the end, but I thought everybody was cheering about it. But I'm like, isn't he too small?
No,
Well,
like 40 or 50 feet tall. His spaceship is huge, though.
Okay, because I always thought he was bigger than a planet when I would read him in my comics. I was like,
yeah, no, he's a very manageable size.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I asked.
He's trapped in this universe, actually, because he comes from another universe, and he's the last of his species, and that's why he feeds on all those planets, and they keep him alive.
Yeah, the size always got me. Okay, well, otherwise I like that.
Yeah, he's big, and I don't remember whether he was able to grow and shrink. I'm trying to remember.
I think
maybe there's
shrink.
also this thing. I'm not sure about how the canon status. Maybe that's just in the Ultimate Universe, but basically, like every species will see him as one in their own image, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to comprehend his true form or something like that.
I always thought he could change
They
size.
showed his
And I
eyes
haven't
in the
read it
teasers.
since I was much younger. I haven't read
I'm
it.
wondering if they're going to bring the Watcher in.
I mean, he's technically part of the What If, and he's voiced by Jeffrey Wright. So
Anyway, so as long as they're going to do a soft reboot internally, that's what I mean. Changing the way
They
make
already
movies.
have done that, as Grift mentioned. I mean, they fired like the 13 or 15 of the uber duper woke people that. But to me, that's not enough. That is not enough, because you can say, "Oh, it was them," but who did they report to? Feige? Who did they report to? Who signed off on what they did?
Right. That's what I mean. If it's not going to change at the top, to me, it will be like we'll have this sort of repast, this break where we get certain decent films and then it slowly starts seeping back in. There has to be an accountability at a certain level. The script was just saying that they're never going to admit that. You don't think someone's going to bring it up, whether it's real critics, independent voices, going to be, wait a minute. You did this for Phase 4 and 5. Okay. Everything was
the moment they start doing that, then everybody's going to start pointing fingers.
No one else is going to do it than us.
Gotcha.
And I brought this up here because, I wouldn't get so used to the idea of this anchor being going away anytime soon.
Is Iron Man the anchor being of Deadpool and Wolverine? Or is Iron Man the anchor being of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which anchor being is a concept introduced in Deadpool and Wolverine?
The fact that you even asked that makes me very happy. And that term has ignited your imagination. To even ask that question. It's your final question. Very exciting.
Talk about missing.
So there's your answer.
Yeah. And speaking of missing, we will be missing Cultured Casino as he has to leave.
Yeah. Sorry
He's
about
so
that.
uber bougie important lately, and I don't understand.
Why. Before you go, there was at least a chat referencing your name.
Oh, wow.
Let's see here.
No.
It was.
That's weird.
Let's see here. B-Man says, "This stream is so cringe. Thanks to Old Man Casino and Paul Chato, aka White Snowman. It'd be nice if Batom says hello. Hail Batom."
There you go. Well, thank you for that, B-Man. I appreciate that. And yes,
I'm busy fighting cocaine sharks.
There you go. we need more of those in the world.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to get the cocaine out of them.
There you go. All right. Well, gentlemen, I hope the rest of your day is extraordinary. George, it was delightful to see you.
Always great to see you.
And Bat Tom, as always, you need to go back to sleep. I gotta go. See you guys later. Check out that game place in I don't know. 90
check
minutes.
out that gay place.
Yeah.
That is
Check it out. And
what I said.
I didn't know you started a new channel, that gay place.
Yeah, no, the gay place. It's the hottest place for all the bears in town. And Big Daddy MRI, while we're on cocaine, Shark says, "No thanks, no more Sharknadoes with cocaine. I can't handle it. Thanks for all you do, Andre and Tom. Great panel and lovely discussions. Take care and carry on." Oh, thank you, Big Daddy MRI. And Maverick Christian points out, "There's already a film called Cocaine Shark."
I was thinking that.
Really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Wow.
It's a
I just got another Jaws shirt in the mail.
Yeah.
There's also like cocaine alligator, cocaine crocodile. Like there's the
On
whole
that
cocaine
note,
universe.
SCR Red Wolf says for $5, Tom, NPR has an article on cocaine sharks near Rio de Janeiro. So the movie is going to be based on real life?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do the whole cocaine animal universe. That'd be...
Do they come together as a team?
Yeah.
Cocaine creatures. There you go.
Yeah, indeed. And Hypergiver 2 brings up some good news in these troubled times, saying, "No matter how bad things get, at least Sydney Sweeney has promised to do more nude scenes. Also, Paul, nice video. Shame you weren't in it." Oh, we should have had this one when Cultured was here.
No, that's a reference to my clickbait video, which has got a very interesting background, and people have been joking, saying, "I can't see you in the video, Paul." It's I'm obscuring I'm obscuring something.
Obscuring some cleavage. Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
And speaking of cleavage, I still have this open message to Millennium Pictures. It's not too late. You can still scrap your current Red Sonja movie and redo it with Sydney Sweeney. Boom, $1 billion hit right there.
Absolutely, I'm all for it.
Oh, was Lionsgate? I was gonna say I thought they didn't have a distributor.
No, they don't have a distributor. That's the point. Millennium are the production company. They don't have.
Oh, you said Millennium. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They still don't have a distributor, so there's no commitment here. Just take a tax refund and start over with Sydney Sweeney as Red Sonja. That's how you go from a movie that you can't sell, as you have right now, to a $1 billion hit. I mean, just think about it. Sydney Sweeney as Red Sonja. I mean, that's a 4-quadrant movie right there.
It is. Unfortunately, right now she's trying to get Barbarella with her starring character in the works.
Oh God, they're gonna ruin that.
No, they're probably going to make it a comedy like it's intended to be.
It was a comedy?
Yes. Did you not watch the Barbarella?
I watched it. I found a couple of things humorous. I never thought of it as a comedy, but I gotta watch it.
Making fun of the hippie movement and everything.
I guess satire. Okay, I guess comedy is something different. But okay, satire. I could go satire. I loved Barbarella.
Very tongue in cheek.
It was a weird movie. I don't think it was a very good movie.
It was fun.
No, but I think Sydney could have fun with it.
If you do a modern day, well, you don't have to not set it in the modern day, but if you, instead of making a satire of the hippie movement, you make it a satire of the SJW movement.
Oh yeah,
it's all about the uglification of women and of body positivity and stuff like that. And then you have Sydney Sweeney come as the contrast to all of that. Now there you suddenly have a Barbarella for today.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not think it's a comedy or satire when their secret password is the longest, almost unpronounceable word in Welsh of the named off their?
I was 10 when I last saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 10. Yeah, no. I didn't. I laughed at a couple of things. The rest of it, I thought it was kind of like this. I really haven't seen it. Wow.
Yeah, you probably should rewatch it and may change your opinion on it.
But I like your take, Andre, to make it about the woke mind virus and everything that goes with it. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. If you have that, and with Sydney Sweeney, I mean, that's a hit right there. But again, I still say, I mean, Red Sonja, Sydney Sweeney, $1 billion hit.
Mm-hmm.
Going to bring back Sword and Sorcery, and I would love for that to happen. And then Jason Webster says for $5 Australian. Good morning, everyone. I see the teaser trailer for Creature Commandos has dropped. Thoughts? Now, is this the same trailer that dropped a few days ago, or is it a different one? I would imagine it's the same one where they basically assemble the team, which is basically like all of these Universal monsters. Mm-hmm. I saw that animated thing, and I was left thoroughly unimpressed, mostly because I did not care for the roster of characters one bit. So you have Frankenstein, you have Bride.
Wait, is this the one that was with Tom Cruise? That universe with
No. This is
no. This is the prequel to, or not the prequel, but this is technically the first installment of James Gunn's DC.
Until
universe.
It's not.
Oh, that
basically,
DC. Okay, because I thought the what was it called right after Superman? Wasn't it after Superman? There was another one that was coming. It starts with an A. The group,
Authority.
The Authority.
Yeah, they're in Superman.
Yeah, they're in it. So I would say this. The animation is actually probably some of the best that DC has produced in a long time because they've been cheaping out on it with their feature film, with their animated films for years. So the animation style looked a lot better. Looked like there was actually money behind it. As for the premise, didn't really get my boat going personally.
It's funny.
I didn't watch it.
In the DC universe, I'm just Superman, Batman, and a handful of figures.
I was left very disappointed by it. I mean, it's written by James Gunn, so I hope it will be good. But just that roster of characters did not interest me in the slightest. I mean, when the Weasel is the one to root for and to be excited about,
the thing that eat kids, yeah.
Then something is seriously wrong. So yeah, I was maybe the whole series will be better. We'll know in due time. But I was left thoroughly unimpressed by that trailer.
I'm still waiting for a good Conan movie.
So am I. So am I. Fred promised that there would be more news around September. I do not know what those news would possibly be. I know what isn't happening, but I don't know. But I really legit don't know what is happening. Only what. Well, there's going to be some very cool announcements. Not so sure about the movie announcement, but there's going to be some very cool announcements before long here that will have Conan fans very happy. That I can say, without going into any more details about that. But in terms of movie news, I legit don't know anything. So yeah, fingers crossed. What I do know is that they're not doing it until they can get it right, which is
that's good.
Very promising. And I also. I mean, Fred has been sounding. That's Fredrik Malmberg, the one who manages Conan. I mean, you know this as well, Script. He's been very boastful on Twitter, saying Conan is going to be the biggest fantasy franchise in the world a decade from now.
Yeah, if he hires me, I can do that in 5 years.
Yeah, and for him to say that, he knows something that he hasn't shared with me.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
But exactly what he knows, I don't know.
Did y'all catch any of the Rings of Power?
I'm very glad that you brought that up, because that actually is a story that I brought up just for you here. This is because Rings of Power Season 2 is due in
August
a month here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a thing that's going to happen. So, and I found a story here. Just give me a second. And
I could not believe it's like Simon Tolkien finally is achieving his lifelong ambition and dream, which was he was a failed attorney for 20 years. Then he was a failed author because he wanted to use not his grandfather's name. But then when he failed, he decided he's going to slap Tolkien onto his book. So his book started to sell. And as a consultant for Amazon, he's just smearing the hell out of the.
Yeah, and he's not the only one, because someone else who is doing that is Don Lemonlass.
Oh, God,
He has also been talking about the series, and he's been promoting it, and he has been defending all of the race swapping and overt wokeness in the series. You know, one of the things that greatly detracted from it. And I'm not going to say that was the chief issue in season 1, but it certainly didn't make any of the other issues any less visible, let's put it that way. And bounding into comics, they have the write-up here. Amazon's The Lord of the Rings of Power Star defends series race swapping. A lot of people speaking on behalf of Tolkien don't know if they understand the spirit of Tolkien. And that is what he has to say in reference to all of the massive fans of Tolkien that disagree with the direction taken by the Rings of Power because it doesn't understand the spirit of Tolkien. So he has very cleverly taken that argument and thrown it right back at the fans of Tolkien. I don't know if you understand Tolkien. And then I'm not going to go through this article in detail here, but I can tell you what it boils down to. DEI, and it's important for people to see themselves on screen and to reflect what the world actually looks like. That's the gist of what he is saying here. So it's basically a recycling of tried and true arguments from the DEI movement and from the proponents of it, including then the cast who are put out as sacrifice for that cause. So, George, I mean, you may be the biggest Lord of the Rings fan on this particular panel. Are you looking forward to season 2? And does these statements make you feel shameful over your past criticism of the series?
No, I'm not looking forward to season 2. I think it's going to be even worse. I think do I feel any shame over my past criticism? No, I didn't go hard enough on them. I thought they would at least learn their lesson, but what we discovered is that the Bobbsey twins, Payne and McKay, they did as they promised. They were going to double down. They wanted to make it darker, grittier, amp up the action, what I think is that typical J.J. Abrams thing. But I was listening to all of the interviews from Comic-Con, from Variety to Hollywood Reporter to Deadline. And Don Lemonless, he was giving, I have it queued up if you ever want it. He was responding to, they've changed their tone this time around, at least in the 8 videos I've watched so far, the interviews. The cast in the first season would be like, where she would, Sofia Nomvete would state, I am the first female dwarf. I'm the first black female dwarf. I'm the first this. I'm planting the flag. I'm making history. Don Lemonless would go around and stating, they will never, ever be able to say any time ever again that there was not a black elf. We've done it. We've achieved it. And then he's giving an interview and he's like, well, yeah, there was something with some haters who had something, but it didn't really bother me and it didn't really bother any of us. Like he was acting like it was all one-sided. Well, in my last video that I had done to cover it, he told Variety that Amazon brought in therapists, and I couldn't find the clip anymore, but I have it in my video. So he was explaining how they would have to bring this therapist in and that they could all lean on the individual and how they became part of the team, and because of all of the rhetoric surrounding everything. And now they're kind of trying to treat it like, oh no, that didn't affect us. We didn't do anything wrong. Somebody said something somewhere. In that way, they got a memo. Again, at least in the 8 videos, do not talk about being the first this, the first that, don't push this. But no, I'm not looking forward to it at all. I think what they've done by the fact that they've even hinted at Comic-Con of saying that Sauron and, Muk Sauron and Galad Diarrhea are going to get back together again and maybe have a relationship. Or
I'm very glad you said that. Can we just pause that for 1 second?
Yeah.
Paul, what did I say as we reviewed the final episode of The Rings of Power? Remember I said, there's a cut there. I think they just cut over a sex scene between Galadriel and Sauron that we are going to come back to in season 2 when she's pregnant with his child. Did I not say that?
Yeah.
I believe that that's exactly what happened here, because to me it was like so obvious. Like, there's a cut and there's tension. Galadriel and Sauron, they did it.
No, they're talking about, I've always known they wanted them to get jiggy with it. It's just that very fact. You have the Lady of Light to be with Sauron. She was his most dreaded, opponent.
Well, it's the ultimate ship for the cat ladies, though, isn't
it?
I know, but
they're going to give birth to a Sith.
But it's the same way. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's the same way as in the Acolyte, where they made the good guys, the ultimate good guys, the Jedi, look like the bad guys, and the villains, the Sith, that basically come across as misunderstood saints with bad PR. They're like virtue signaling. But I'm going to be whoever I want to be because I want to be it, and you won't let me be it.
There's another layer to this that it might be worth discussing with script, in that I know from experience how detached actors can be from a show that's not working. One, because they're just happy to work. Okay. I've been involved in it. It's you don't always realize that you're working. Actually, rarely do you realize you're working on a crappy show.
What? Seriously. You really don't know you're working on a crappy show?
No, because actors are not that aware.
No.
What? They don't. I thought
it's also hard work.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you have to commit to it, and you have to have a certain level of belief. So, I mean, I would love to dive deep into, and watching the new trailer and the reaction and reading Galadriel's. Like, I thought she was ready for a nervous breakdown, apparently through the posts from the first season, but here she is happily doing it again. And I'm going, okay, where did that come from? And was she in a not a bubble, but I mean, was she in some kind of iron lung away from all the the response from everybody. I mean, again, actors are going to naturally turn off negative commentary, right? Now, there was a shit ton of commentary on our YouTube, our friendly YouTube, and which I don't think any actor could have possibly avoided. And then they got to put the shoes back on and the costume back on to do this wretched series. I mean, at what point does an actor not know what they're working on is of no interest to the audience?
Come on.
When it stops being talked about, that's usually the first sign. Like, that's the thing, right? Even when it came to like sitcoms and stuff, if you take a look at some of the people that had a bunch of failed pilots before they got their hit show, it wasn't until after they got the hit show that they realized that the stuff they were working on before was actually really bad, because you have to make that frame of reference. There's nothing. Again, actors spend most of their time dedicating their life to the craft of acting. They don't always read classic literature, great epic books. They don't understand. They don't. Why would they?
That's not how I was thinking. When I just so I can, I don't mean to interject.
That's
here,
why you're not an actor, but keep going, sir.
No. Because the school that
script is right.
The school that I went to, because I actually studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in California, in Pasadena. But
I know that's a pay-for-play college. It's a good one, but it's a pay-for-play college. Yeah.
Most actors, like the big actors, unless you're like a Daniel Day-Lewis or something.
Let me
like
finish.
That.
One second. It's the school that I went to from the elementary school. They prepped you because there were only 3 things that they offered at that time, which was drama, acting, bagpipes and drums, and football, but football, soccer. And so in our classes for acting, we had to study Chekhov, Shakespeare. That's everything that they taught us. It was drilled into us because they said you cannot be in the theater unless you have a classical literature background in a theater.
In the theater stuff. We're not talking about pulp novels, not talking about J.R.R. Tolkien, we're not talking about sci-fi fantasy stuff. They don't look at that. They look at classical plays, Greek tragedies, Shakespeare, all of those stuff that feeds their acting ability. They don't look at the cultural current stories within current culture. That's not part of their job. They're looking at, okay, how does Stanislavski's approach with go to acting? What do you do when that's what they care about.
The method, I love I know, but we studied that. We always had to be up to date reading. Anyway,
there's the
big
difference.
That all actors were like that. They researched, they understood, they read the history, the material. That's why I was so stunned with Rings of Power when I was listening to the actors. Oh, I love Tolkien. I've been reading my whole life, and then he makes a statement, and he's like, "But I really don't understand."
And my point is that if this show was on network TV, it would have been canceled in the first year based on our first 10 episodes based on the lack of viewership.
Yeah, 37%.
We're in a very different territory. And, how many of the actors really do know that they're working on crap? Now, I'll tell you who do know they're working on garbage, and that's the crew. They're a wonderful, cynical bunch of people. They know when they're working on shit like way early on. And they just, are cashing their paycheck.
You telling me when you have Morfydd Clark is told, okay, we're going to shoot this where you're going to jump into the middle of the ocean. You're just going to start swimming. She doesn't go, wait a minute. Where's she going? What's she doing?
You'd be lucky if she asked for what's my motivation, and that's it.
Motivation,
it's all about the commitment of the scene at the moment. It's not about where this is going or whatnot. She's read the pages. She knows where it's going. Again, it's all about their education is predicated on what makes them the best actor they can be.
Well, somebody who's also had some acting training, I will say this, yes, you guys are right. When you're being trained for the theater, it's basically it's like baseline fast food training, right? Like if you were to go in and they show you how to use a fryer and certain other things that would normally go along with, and then you get to be plugged into whatever fast food restaurant. That's kind of what it is. It's you learn the basics of Shakespeare and all these other things so that way you can go anywhere and work in the theater, right? But there's a big difference between working in theater and working in film and television. And that's why you get some actors who after a while, they just say, F it, and they want to go back to the theater. See, some of those actors, they generally do give a crap, but it's usually about the theater, right? Like a great example is Patrick Stewart. Could give a fuck about Picard.
Right.
In all actuality, does not care. He probably gives a little bit more of a shit about Professor X, but that's just because it's gotten him a lot more acclaim. And he maybe he can there's things about those characters that he can relate to, but at the end of the day, that's not what he's into. He is a theater actor, right? He loves to go do the Shakespeare and stuff, and in the
go to
all that kind of stuff.
Avon, all those types
exactly.
of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the difference there. Then you'll have your other guys like Daniel Day-Lewis and certain other ones who literally get into the roles, and Gary Oldman and such, that literally like become the role.
The Stanislavski method.
Otherwise, those are the two extremes. Otherwise, most actors are in the middle, and they're really just showing up, doing a job. They say their lines like with the whole "What's my motivation?" That's pretty much what it is, because they have no idea half the time where they're at in the day, unless they've really studied the script. That's what the script person's for. That's what continuity person's for. That's what the director's for. They're supposed to say, okay, you're upset in the scene. So and so just did this, and go. So like that's their job. That's their motivation, basically. That's what they do. And then they say the line, and then they go and do it again and again. And then they're like, okay, we're good. And that's it. That's your job, right? It's not like the theater where you actually have to get into the moment. You have to stretch that moment out for an entire play, right? Like in acting, it's a lot of turning it on and turning it off. So it's that's different. Why, yeah. So that's why a lot of these, these method actors are kind of full of shit. Yeah.
I like it. I shared an article, if I can show y'all real quick. It's about Nazanin Boniadi. I wanted to show you something, Andre, if it's possible.
Yeah, go for it.
I shared the screen. You have to. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it there.
Okay, so you have Nazanin Boniadi. She was the one who played the non-Tolkienian character Bronwyn, right? Mm-hmm. So she didn't return for season 2, just like Mule didn't return to play Adar. He quit, and the reason was he's like, I'm going on to explore other roles, which is this show is shit.
Well, she was also crappy.
She was crappy, but listen, I don't even think she understands what she's saying. So she goes, I made the choice not to return for season 2 of Rings of Power. This was unrelated to my subsequent decision to prioritize my advocacy. So 3 months ago, she had said that she was taking a year off to play activists around the world. Okay. The other day, it turns around, she says, hold on, where is it? Because it's brilliant. Won't be returning. Deadline, Bronwyn is the mother of Theo. No. Boniadi recently wrote on Instagram that she paused acting to focus solely on the woman life freedom uprising in Iran and to advocate for people in my homeland who've been risking everything for freedom. She also mentioned Deadline's announcement of her movie, A Mosquito in the Ear, which she said, despite my passion for acting, I knew it would take a very special project to convince me to once again split my time between my day job and my calling as an activist. Am I reading that wrong, or is she saying that Rings of Power isn't special enough to split her time?
No, that's true. And I mean, come on, like actors always have their dream project that they want to do, and it doesn't matter how big of the main story is on. They want to go do their own thing. Look no further than Kevin Costner. His big project
I was just going to say that
was Yellowstone, and he decided to leave that to do Horizon, which sucked.
Right, but isn't she putting her show down at the same time?
Actually, I kind of liked Horizon.
Kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, subtext. Yeah, there's a lot you can infer from that. Maybe she's not intentionally doing it, but I mean, yeah. Why would she want to return to Lord of the Rings when she's like, oh, I'm doing my dream project. I'm not going to do this Rings of Power thing. And I'm going to go back to, fighting a cause I greatly believe in. Well, that's just basically saying, yeah, I don't believe in Rings of Power. It was just a job. And guess what? 99% of actors treat all acting jobs just like that. Just a job.
Oh, that's just odd for me. Maybe it's because the way I grew up. But the other part is that they announced that a person had asked the panel, is there going to be any LGBTQ representation? Because they've been a lifelong Tolkien fan, which of course, I don't know how you could be a lifelong Tolkien fan. And they say
it was right wing to be a Tolkien fan.
Right. Yeah.
Really taking a lot from that whole Sam and Frodo relationship, I guess.
And I think it was JD Payne who said, well, you might have already seen it because it's going to be here. So they really did not listen to a single thing that came out, not only from their ratings, because you only had 37% of the audience that watched the premiere actually watched the finale. So I don't know how they're going to have a show come back on August 29th when they have over 60% of their audience gone. but they're excited.
It's contractual at this point. They have to do it. I can't believe they're spending.
I heard they could buy it out. I heard they could buy out the.
They could, and I mean, obviously they're in a better place to try and retool, and hopefully get some people back on board. But it's just a. I mean, they're never going to do anything with this. I mean, let's be real. Warner Brothers is going to eat their lunch. Even if the Lord of the Rings movies that they put out are mediocre, they're still probably going to be better than this garbage.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And I think that's why, and a lot of people were like, why is Peter Jackson and them guys doing a Gollum movie and stuff like that? I'm like, and they're like, it's only based on like a paragraph in the book. I'm like, that's why. It's like, that's the exact reason why he's doing that. He's like basically saying, hey, Amazon, look what I can do.
Yeah.
Like he's doing exactly what they're doing
in the paragraph. Yeah.
Exactly what only we can make it something more interesting and a character you actually want to see because you like this character. And Andy Serkis has been out there talking about how he's getting back into Gollum shape.
Right. I will tell you that I was originally excited about the War of the Rohirrim that Jackson and Philippa Boyens were working on. But then when I read her interview, was it 6 weeks ago? I was totally.
Well, that's a rights retainer. Let's be real. That's what that thing is.
But they could have told the story straight. Instead, she's using a character. Like they have the story there.
Right.
They don't have to infer anything. Tolkien had Helm Hammerhand's daughter was an unnamed character. She was just there, it's like to mention she's going to be handed to Ulf to marry off his enemy to make a peace. But Philippa Boyens was like working with her daughter. She's like, I thought that would be a fascinating thing to do where we explore the perspective of this time period and what happened to Rohan through the daughter. You mean the character that Tolkien didn't write anything about?
The one character that Tolkien didn't write anything about. Yeah.
Right. And so I don't understand. I really had a great deal of respect for Philippa Boyens and Jackson. I'm holding my judgment until it comes out. But that statement alone and that they built an entire film around it.
Well, part of me was wondering, like, are they going to do it in the same way with, the princess from Dune, where she's going to be the narrator of this story? We maybe not learn her name. Maybe we'll get some of her own narration to it. Will it be authentic to Tolkien? Well, if Peter Jackson is still the same mindset he was when he did that trilogy, I think we'd be in safe hands. We have to cross our fingers for that right now because, again, he's not the same person he was 20 years ago.
Yeah, not as hungry.
No, not as hungry. But they're having, what's her name, the actress who was in The Two Towers and Return of the King. She's going to narrate the whole thing. She's going to narrate the War of the Rohirrim, but they're actually telling the story from the perspective of Helm Hammerhand's daughter. Anyway, that's only interesting if you love Tolkien.
Am I a meanie by saying I don't need any more female-led fantasy or sci-fi for the next 5 years?
Well, hopefully that's what Wolverine and Deadpool starts to send a message. I mean, we already know most of the.
Oh, they're going to ignore it.
How can they ignore the box office?
Will. I mean,
well,
Disney will. Yes.
The rank and file will because the rank and file wanted it to fail.
But it didn't. That's the point.
That's irrelevant to them. They're political.
Correct, but
the
sun is up. You can't say it's not day when you see the sun. I mean, there is a point when that just becomes complete delusion.
The campus rioters were deluded.
Good point. Good point.
No, I see where you're coming from.
You got your politics, and that's it.
I see where you're coming from, Paul. But I mean, we've been hearing for the most part that a lot of just look at the proof of the stuff that they've been putting out, right? Twisters is another great example more recently where they deliberately went out and said we're not doing any.
Yeah, but that wasn't Disney.
Political business. I know.
Yeah. I know. Well, guess what? Lord of the Rings is not Disney either. It's Warner Brothers. So
exactly. Yeah. So and that's the thing. The War of the Rohirrim, when was that first announced and put into production? Like 2017, 18, 19, something like that, somewhere in there. Right. Mm-hmm. So this was all in the midst, the height of wokeness. And I don't even know how much Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh have to even do with that.
Wait, was it put in that point or was it done right after Zaslav took over?
It might have been a little later. You might be right. But he's been in there since when now? 2020?
Oh, I thought Zaslav was in there.
It was right after. It was already in pre-production, but they announced it right around the same time as the Amazon Lord of the Rings business.
Well, you talking about War of the Rohirrim. Yeah,
Yes.
War of the Rohirrim was announced a month before the season 1 came out.
That's what I was gonna say. It was right around the same time. Yeah.
22.
So that was when 22. Oh, so that was a little later. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
Zaslav
Script,
was
you're
already
right.
in there. Yeah, I mean this is kind of. I mean, again, you also have to remember Warner Brothers was not. I mean, aside from DC, they were not doing huge woke stuff on their movie side of things at the time. So if they're announcing an animated feature of Lord of the Rings, the logical assumption would be, oh, they just want to make something that fits in line with the epic movies that they got as a result of the New Line acquisition and that connection there.
Yeah, they just wanted a rights retainer as far as the woman being the lead character in it. That's just,
or at least the perspective
politics
of,
of the time. Yeah.
That's why I was excited
if
when
they would, my point is like if they started developing it right now, I highly doubt that'd be the case. I think they'd probably do
less odds.
Honestly, with if they were doing something animated, I wouldn't even be surprised yet if we don't hear that we're going to get like some sort of Viggo Mortensen voiced prequel to when he's playing Strider.
You just
basically
made him Jewish.
Mortensen, Mortensen is coming back, and so is
there's no G in it.
Well, he hasn't confirmed that yet. He said
he's open to it.
He said he's open to the idea if they can figure out. He says he doesn't know how they could do that, but he knows Peter and Fran are the people who could figure that out.
Yeah,
whether it's de-aging or animation
is really good. He was not the original intended actor for it, but then you look back. I mean, you think, wow, who else could have done such a job on it? Yes, it's a crazy business. You can't look at a final product and go, boy, that was genius. No, there's a lot of accidents that went.
Well, and you know how desperate Amazon's getting? They're actually putting their Rings of Power out on Blu-ray.
Really? I didn't see that yet because I heard it was coming, but I haven't seen it.
Who's going to deliver it to your house?
Oh God!
Amazon.
Everything now from Amazon comes with it, like the same thing they did with season 1.
What's funny as hell is through this whole business of them going back and forth with the Lord of the Rings things. Guess who handles their home video distribution?
Warner Archive.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I have to say it's very bad for the Blu-ray medium if this is coming out on Blu-ray because it's going to tank completely. Because who will buy this?
They're trying to recoup something. That's what it's all for. That's the whole reason they released Star Trek Discovery on disc.
Of course.
Because otherwise that show was meant to be an exclusive for CBS All Access and Paramount Plus.
You know what? Yeah. They're going to get some dude in his basement and it'll be burned on demand. Like they're not going to print them off.
Don't put it that far.
Well, here's the thing. That's what Warner Archives is all about. So
kind of
the power that can happen before you know it. But speaking of exclusivity, we unfortunately no longer have the exclusivity on Paul Chato, which has to be.
He's always
go back
coming up with
and
some
run
reason.
A website business.
Did you get this one already for him?
I did not.
No.
So go ahead and read that while I look to see.
Yeah, Action.com says for $5. Chato, were you the Indian in the Canadian classic Paddle to the Sea? If you were, your performance was a little wooden.
No, that was not me. Although I was in the porn version of Paddle to the Sea.
Paddle to the Seaman?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. And I showed everybody how to use a J stroke to get off.
Oh my!
Wow!
And that is how Paul got canceled, folks.
And only this. Yeah, you left me to the end there, and you pulled this on me, and of course I'm going to go for it.
Well, thank you for being here, Paul. You got some appalling news and other
nice to see you, George.
Nice to see you, Paul. Always.
Yeah, it's nice to be back from South Carolina. It was hot down there.
Oh, you got to come to Texas.
And what's the temp there?
Hell. Just goes to hell and hot as hell.
I ran into a Texas couple in a big RV up in Indiana, Lafayette. They come up for 4 months from Texas because they can't stand the Texas heat. So
I hate that. I love Texas, just hate the summer.
Well, what can you do? What can you do?
I'll come to Canada.
Well, it's 40 degrees today here.
God, I'm so jealous.
40 degrees centigrade.
Yes. It's
nice. What is that the script? You know what does it turn into? I never.
It's hot.
We'll worry about that later.
Well,
bye,
basically,
everyone.
let's just say 40 degrees centigrade is also fits the description of hell.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Bye,
in
everyone.
Wisconsin, which ain't far from it.
Yeah.
We get winters here.
Thank you so
it
much.
freezes over every once in a while.
Yeah.
Take care,
And with
Paul.
that, let's move on. And we're going to jump a few super chats here because we have another big story. I was hoping to have more here, but this is still a big story. Satan's Retribution, says for 35 South African rounds. Breaking news.
Yeah.
Apex Capital tapped the Skydance offer for Paramount at 43.5 billion, Reuters reports. It's in the 45-day time frame. Because remember, part of this deal between Skydance and Paramount, or rather with Paramount's parent company, which would be National Amusements, there's a period where other companies can come and make competing bids. And the one that has just done so and outbid Skydance is Apex Holding Capital.
And who are they?
Yeah, I was about to
That's
say.
what I have on screen here. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I kind of wish that Mike was here now, because I would have loved to hear his thoughts.
It
on
sounds
this.
like they're just an investment group from the look of this. Apex Capital Holdings enjoys a multi-strategy investment approach specializing in opportunistic trading and investment strategies. Founded in 2010, Apex success is attributed to key strategic advantages: our ability to attract, challenge, and develop top talent, our unique entrepreneurial culture, and promote open communication, transparency of accountability, and our discipled approach to risk management and capital preservation.
Yeah.
A combination of our team trading environment enables Apex traders to profit utilizing firm capital.
Can you see their board or anything? Does it show us?
Yeah, I was
wonder.
about to say, Tom, see if you can find the board or something
I'm
like
looking
that here.
Maybe
I will
somebody.
say this: I appreciated their nonsensical pitch on their website of what they actually do. It's like all broad.
Yeah, it is kind of really.
It's funny.
And you do not have the board or anything like that.
No, I
But
don't
you have
have the
disclosures.
ability.
Go back to disclosures, Tom. It was on the bottom of the page there. And
All
what
right.
they disclose, instead of giving up board members or anything like that, is Apex Holdings LLC is an associated member of T3 Trading Group LLC. T3 Trading Group is a Delaware limited liability company with Class A owners being T3 Companies LLC and Class B and Class C members admitted from time to time. T3 Trading Group LLC is a registered SEC broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All traders must be yada, yada, yada. So basically, and then they say all regulatory and legal correspondence should be sent to, and here then is a postal address, plus with attention to Chief Compliance Officer, with, again, no name of who that Chief Compliance Officer is. Has anyone of you ever heard about this Apex Trading Company?
See, now I have another one here that's under the name Apex, but I'm sure the one we're looking at, I think, is the right one, because that's actually called.
I don't know. This one reads
Holdings
more like a
LLC.
dummy corporation than it.
Thank you, Script. This is exactly what I was getting to. This
and then I have this other one here.
Raises all kinds of.
But this is just called Apex. It's not called anything else. I don't think this is
also fintech, and that's one of the things that
I don't think this is related to it.
I don't think that
fintech
this
is part of the AI development stuff. They're that's a different company.
This to me smells like a front. There's someone else that's behind this, and they rushed together this Apex group out of empty nothingness just for the purpose of launching this bid. That's what.
Well, no, it says they've been around since 2010, though.
It still looks like a holding company, and their website and stuff.
Well, it is a holding company.
Stuff. Yeah. So to me, this is sus as hell. When we're not able to see like anything more on the stuff here, this seems like a front for someone else. There's another person or another institution behind them, and
it'd be funny if it was related to National Amusements in the end.
Okay, you read my mind.
Okay, now I put this in again, and it still comes up with that other one that I had, but let me see here.
Because again, you have like this deal where other parties are encouraged to drop competing bids. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, you have this company that no one has heard about that suddenly decides, oh, we're going to buy a whole entertainment company, even though that's nothing like anything we have done before. And they're suddenly outbidding Skydance. And they're obviously a front for a person or persons or institutions unknown. I mean, this just seems sus to me.
It's a 14-year-old company.
I got a Mahir Ahmad as a director of Apex Holding Limited. I don't know if that's right, though.
Well, it's such a generic name.
I know. And that's the problem. I've got like 2 or 3 different companies.
I see that, like the Financial Times, they are.
And then I got another one that says here that Dave Fabinsky.
And they are confused.
And another one says here Dave Fabinsky is the head of another company called Apex.
But never mind Apex. A million companies are called that. This is specifically Apex Capital Trust. So, and you can have 10
I'm on apexcap.com.
Nothing to do with that. Because even the Financial
Otherwise,
Times,
we got a trucking company out of Texas. That's what I'm saying.
One that's into fossil fuels and engineering.
I'm pretty sure that the website I have here is the company that they're talking about. Because whoops, wrong one. Because it does say Capital Holdings LLC. It is at apexcap.com. I mean, but it is a real.
Let's do a LinkedIn search, Apex Capital on LinkedIn. See if you can find any connectors there.
The Financial Times have already done that, and they've been. That leaves them only more confused. They found one, Tatiana Logan, who's the founder of Elwood Law PC. She's the lawyer originally from the Russian Far East, who is the representative of the company.
Well, maybe that one guy I said is the right person.
What about this one? I found this. Look at this. I'm sharing the screen with you.
Yeah, so everyone, sorry that we seem unprepared here, but this dropped right now.
There you go. There you go.
Caribbean citizenship by investment in movies. Special offer from Apex. Let me see if I can get it bigger.
Is this that company that was attached to that deal that Leonardo DiCaprio got drug into?
Oh, it says the
Who
international
was that company?
I don't know, but it says the international company Apex Capital Partners and personally the president and owner, Nuri Katz, together with Hollywood producer Philip Martinez, are negotiating.
That sounds more like it.
With the authorities of the Caribbean state of Antigua and Barbuda to launch a special option for the local Caribbean citizenship program. Well, the subject of the investment will be a motion picture filmed on the territory of the state. I don't know. That's the closest I've found to an Apex out of the 10 of them that has anything to do with films.
Yeah, and whatever you sent me here, Andre, I can't bring up because I don't have a subscription.
Right. Okay. No, I haven't. It was an article from the Financial Times.
Go to archive. You can do it through archive. It'll pop up.
I can try to.
I think you found the right one, to be honest with you, George.
It's just
if I had to make a guess. I mean, I looked up this address. It is a real place, but it doesn't specify if it's a business or not.
Oh, I'm not saying that the company isn't real. I'm just saying it's a front for something else.
No, but I think what you found there is probably the real one.
It says here at various times he's worked, is talking about the head of the company's worked with Christopher Lambert, Dennis Hopper, Genish Gershon, Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
So it has this guy has a history with movies and such.
Indeed.
Almost feels like a Golden Globus kind of situation.
It does, doesn't it?
Canon. I miss Canon movies.
Yeah.
I'd be all for Canon acquiring all of Paramount.
Well, I've been saying that for years. I've been wanting to start a Canon 2.0.
Yeah. But even the Financial Times, they begin their write-up with, "What fresh hell is this?"
Yeah, because this doesn't throw everything off for like 45 more days then?
Yeah, that's when you know that something is off here. And they say Paramount Global.
I wonder if Skydance even has the money.
4% pre-market after Apex Capital Trust submit competing bid up to 43 billion for
they
company.
topped the other one, yeah.
Yeah. And then they go through the press release, and we're going to skip through that. But Apex says it's also committed to infusing approximately 10 billion into Paramount's working capital post-closing for purposes of implementing its business plan for Paramount designed to achieve the following strategic goals, namely content creation, acquisition, protection, and monetization, cutting-edge innovation, technology, and AI, including quantum computing.
I was gonna say, didn't
now
we
we're
all
getting
mention
into
AI
now
or
we're
something
getting
like that?
somewhere here, because this could be
fintech or something
someone in fintech or an IT company or something that's really all about this, that they want a venue for their software. Consumer focus, global expansion, and the hiring of additional team members. To which the Financial Times editorial comment is, sure, okay. So they're clearly not impressed. And then they continue with the release. Apex Capital Trust is a multinational holding company and a qualified institutional investor in key finance and fintech sectors. Again, this is the world of tech. APEC holds a significant stake in banks, credit unions, trust companies, escrow and trustee service providers, investment, blah, 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 blah. Basically, we're BlackRock 2.0 is kind of what they're saying here, and actively producing gold mines in the US, Canada, and Mexico. Again, they own a little bit of everything, BlackRock
Well, we want to
style.
know, before we can say that, though, we kind of want to know what they're about before we can. I don't want to paint them
We
with,
don't know what they're about. We only
yeah, that's
see
what I'm
what
saying.
they
I don't
do.
want to paint them with a black brush.
No, I'm just saying that
Like
their
BlackRock,
business
but
model is
yeah.
similar to theirs by what we can see here. And then again, the Financial Times, they just summarize banks, crypto, blockchain, gold mines, and financial literacy. And then they have this image here saying impressive, very nice, signaling that Financial Times are confused here.
Yes. What is
and
an
then-
assets company with regards to like physical monetary assets and digital monetary assets wants to do with basically a film production company, unless they want to use it to advertise?
Yeah.
Well, if they're doing AI and other things like that, they can implement it.
Or rather, the companies that they have a stake in do that.
Yeah.
It's
Do
not
that,
the
yeah,
business
because fintech is
That's
a
what I
data
mean,
is a data reclamation AI application.
Now, how do we know that there's a fintech connection here? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh,
You
because
guys
they
brought that
say
up
it.
before.
Yeah, they say it.
They flat out state it. So they've said that several times already in their official press release that they're involved in fintech. So we can take their word for it. And then the press release adds, Apex Trust has acquired 40% ownership of Simtronics, a multinational technology company manufacturing phones and other electronic devices, ranked number 3 worldwide in tablet PCs.
Okay, so you're just
Apple and
getting
Samsung.
another. I was gonna say you're just getting another company like Comcast and whatchamacallit that got Warner Brothers, AT&T.
There's more, because this is dodgy.
Yeah.
Because again, here they're talking about how they've acquired 40% ownership of Simtronics, which is apparently number 3 when it comes to tablets and PCs and stuff like that, after Apple and Samsung. So it's Samsung, Apple, and
They just
then
want the content.
Simtronics, which
They just want
no
the
one has heard
content.
about, and neither has Financial Times. That admits here we haven't heard of Simtronics, and was surprised to hear Huawei has given up the tablet bronze medal with so little fanfare. After some searching, we weren't much the wiser. Simtronic appears to be a New Delhi-based wholesaler of random access memory sticks. Readers who, quite understandably, want more information are directed to an interesting selection of links. One of them being apexcapitalbank.com, which the Financial Times points out was registered last year and describes the group as your trusted partner for all your banking needs. So again, they are just pointing out something is very odd here, because there's some of this information doesn't really compute. Then they go through some of these links which are on their web pages, and here we actually find a person which is what they're saying.
Is this the
final
right one?
link is the email for Tatiana Logan, Apex Trust's general counsel, or at least it looks like her email, because the press release misspells capital as, basically it's misspelled capital.
They did capital as in capital city as opposed to capital as in financial.
No, it says captial instead of capital. That kind of misspelling. And then they continue to add apexcapitalmegatrust.com, the web page with the correct spelling, registered via GoDaddy's free website service last Tuesday. Seems budget. If you can't be bothered to navigate it, it's literally just this and an email sign-up box, and they have like a picture here. And then they go back through to this person who is listed, the only person you can find, this Tatiana Logan, who's the founder of Elwood Law PC. She's a lawyer originally from the Russian Far East, who seems to have worked a fair bit in cannabis M&A and has been Apex General Counsel for Check Notes for a whole month. So she's been working. So the one contact person you can find on this webpage doesn't actually work for the company. She's just their general counsel and has been for 1 month.
Wow. Yeah, this is
technically
there's a lot of red flags here.
Damn.
So this is kind of like what I'm saying. Something is very off with this, and this tells me that it could very be that Apex Capital goes back a long time, but this particular entity, which does the purchase right here, this is something that is thrown together in no time flat, probably over the course of just a month or two, something like that.
Sounds like it was
last 4 months.
It sounds like it was started just before Skydance made their offer that had to be under consideration.
Yeah, and that tells me that this whole ordeal, this whole entity, is just a front for someone else who either wishes to acquire Paramount without disclosing who they really are, or who just wants to
raise the price.
It's Sherry.
Raise the price, exactly.
It's Sherry.
That's. I'm not going to rule that out.
Yeah.
Because
she's the only one who would want that at this point, because otherwise, like, if she don't accept this offer, or like if Skydance doesn't come back with another one, like, the board will make her take this offer because it's the better offer. It doesn't really matter, I think, at the end of the day, because she can choose the other way, but they'll sue the fuck out of her, and they're ready to. They're like, we've already heard how many rumors about them. There's probably already going to be lawsuits, let alone what could happen if this goes in a direction that basically screws over the shareholders and favors Sherry.
So, yeah.
But, yeah, we got to look more into this. I'm
it just stinks. It reeks. Yeah, there's something doesn't smell right.
Yeah, at first, like, this raises all kinds of red flags to me. Like, this is... I don't know for certain that Shadi is ultimately behind it, but this is
it's another tech
front.
That or it's another tech type company that is just trying to get the IP and content, basically.
To sell it, to break it up? What?
Well, they want another streaming service or to
right,
sell
but started in a month, you would think it would be.
Why would they use this? Why would they?
Well, you use Paramount Plus is already its streaming service, but now when you get, what did you say, Samsung? You buy a Samsung phone, you get Paramount Plus free.
Right? Or a Samsung tablet or any type of tech device. Yeah, you merge it in with your tech, and you have free content when you sign up.
And then you have commercials where you got Ninja Turtles selling Samsung items, or SpongeBob selling Samsung items,
right?
Or you get a Samsung Ninja Turtle tablet. It's just like with Star Wars and all these other ones when they do that. And Warner Brothers, with AT&T, and Verizon has done some deals with Disney and such. Apple has their own business, with to me, it's like too late to the game. If this is what they're all about, let's take off the nefariousness, right? For just a second. Let's say that it really is that they're just basically like a tech company who want to get in this, and like we just said, for the content and to use it for synergy to sell their products and all that kind of business. They're coming in so late to the game. It's pointless. Because we've already seen this. The streaming wars are dead. They're over. We already know who the winners are.
They're doing the bundling now. They started that Disney, Hulu.
It's going to be only a matter of years before we're back down to like 3 or 4 main streamers. I mean, yes, they're going to have all these little ancillary ones all over the place.
It feels like cable again, Tom. It feels
will
like
be.
cable
It is,
again.
basically.
The damn
Well, what are these
shit.
new channels that are doing, George? This is the hilarity of it. Like the Pluto TVs and all these. They're basically just cable television on streaming channels.
Yeah, on demand cable television. Everything that I predicted back in 2014.
Yeah, what we were talking about too.
Get rid of cable, where you have 300 channels paying almost $200 a month, where you're only watching 5 networks. I mean, that's so we got to streaming where it's supposed to be quality.
Because the studios got greedy. They got ahead of themselves. They didn't want to be patient and wait for the networks to die out, which was going to take another 30, 40 years. They didn't want to get patient and wait for theaters to die out, which is probably never going to happen.
No.
And they tried to force both of those hands, is what they've done in the last 10 years. And all they've done is spend billions, and I mean billions of dollars on a money pit. Right? Like Warner Brothers is what in the hole on HBO Max now, and they're one of the closest to being more profitable than the others.
Disney is like a couple of tens of millions as opposed to like
Disney on the other hand, they're saying what, like 26, 27, they might finally be fucking profitable, but we know they're blowing smoke.
They would, they're lying.
They'll be profitable by 2027. Warner Brothers will be profitable on their streaming by 2030. Disney probably 2045.
Yeah, see, Paramount is another one that's actually semi-close, but that's just because they've done a lot of wheeling and dealing, and they've actually been the only company to really have more success with their streaming shows than anybody else, and they got Taylor Sheridan to thank for that more than anybody.
But the churn is what, I think they're pissed off at the churn factor, because I've seen people who are waiting, like, Netflix. Oh, they're going to release X amount of shows in the next 3 months. I'll wait till they're all out, and then I'm going to sign up, watch it, and then cancel when I'm done. And
according to what I was just told, Paramount is under $2 billion a year. So, like I said, they're not in as bad a shape as the rest, but they don't have anything, right? Like they're barely a company at this point.
Oh, don't they have Section 31 coming out?
The movie? They're only doing that because they have to satisfy Michelle Yeoh's contract.
I know. I just had to throw that out there.
I know. What's funny about that, and we were just bringing this up Monday, is like I've had all kinds of scoops on that and all kinds of stuff. It's just like nobody cares anymore. It's such a dead fucking brand. This is where Star Wars is going to be in 5 years. If they keep going down this road. Is right where Star Trek is right now. At least with Star Trek, though, there's always a possibility, in the words of Spock. Star Wars is all one linear timeline. Star Trek, you can sit there and ignore a bunch of shit and nobody cares.
I thought, Tom, that they would have learned their lesson when they saw what Metalis did with Picard season 3. They'd be like, okay, this is the path. We go down this path.
Well, actually, Paramount wanted to, but Kurtzman said no.
Why?
Yeah, Kurtzman got jealous. He got jealous.
It's not about success. It's about power. And if someone threatens his power like a Terry Metalis did, he's out.
Why didn't he just bring him under his wing and go, look what I got for everybody?
No, because
bringing him under his wing is just one more step closer to him taking over. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. It's about power. So again, Bob Iger's is going to stay at Disney as long as he can, because if he gives someone else that he can't control, which he thought he could with Chapek, chance to get in charge, it's going to ruin his legacy. So it's about power. It's not about success anymore. Again, money is really important in Hollywood, but reputation is more. And reputation brings in power. So if someone like Alex Kurtzman is like, okay, I'm going to give season 3 of Picard to this pretty much a no-name writer. He did freaking 12 Monkeys TV series.
Yeah, because Picard was dead at that point, nobody really said,
do Picard, whatever. I'm going to go work on my own thing. All of a sudden, Picard blows up. Holy crap, this guy just made me bleed. I got to get rid of him.
But bleed, why? Why doesn't he? It seems to me that it would be,
because
look
George,
who I brought on. Look at my brain. Look at my time.
No. That's not how it works unless you're Kathleen Kennedy.
You run your own business. What if there's someone that you were forced to hire that you didn't like, who you brought in, who then started doing your business better than you?
I've brought them in before, marketers.
You didn't bring in. You were forced to bring in from other people. Someone you hate, despise every single step of the way. Everything they're doing, you hate that they're doing it, but they're now being successful. You would feel threatened by that.
I guess I don't know. It's just
it doesn't even have to be that complicated.
If they make my business money, I don't care.
Bad example, because that is your business. Imagine for a second then Because, I mean, that's what throws the whole thing off. Imagine that it's not your business. You just work for the company.
I have a better
and
example.
While working for the company, you do very well. It's fantastic for you, but you doing fantastic is completely, utterly dependent on you continuing working for that company. If you don't, you're going to be exposed because everyone knows you're kind of an incompetent hack. So you really need to stay at that company because no one else will have you. And then you are forced to accept this upstart. And this upstart is actually better than you. It would be in the company's best
politics. I get it.
that this person takes things over. But that would suck for you because
Yeah.
then they don't need you anymore. No one else will have you. So it's in your direct disinterest that this person continue to be in the role where they excel because you don't stand to gain anything from that. On the contrary, it's your loss.
Gotcha.
It's everyone else wins, but it's your loss. Does that make more sense? Script, was that the better comparison?
Or actually,
Yeah, 'cause the
Script
next
knows
step I
where
was
I'm
gonna
going to
say
go
is
with
the
it.
guy who he brought in would then buy his company out from under you and fire you.
Script knows where I'm going to go with this. The best example of this is RoboCop.
Mhm.
They had Ed 209. Fucks up. What does Bob do? I got the RoboCop program. Ronnie Cox is like, fuck off, Bob. He's coming in to take my job. What the fuck? He's better than me. He's got this new program that's better than Ed 209. Who gives a shit if it's better? We had all this other shit ready to go. Section 31, Academy. Who cares if they like it or not?
We could sell them parts on it for years.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened. It didn't even have to be that he didn't like Metalis to begin with, because you got to remember, George, when Metalis was brought in, Picard was at its lowest of lows.
Right.
Kurtzman couldn't be fucking bothered with it. Right? Metalis was there on season 2. He's seen all the ins and outs going on. Season 3 happened. They gave him full reign and control because Kurtzman was over here worried about Clarice and all his other bullshit.
And Man Who Fell to Earth, yep.
And all that other stuff. So at that point, that's when Metalis said, now's my chance. And what did he do? He became Bob in the RoboCop scenario.
Gotcha.
And of course, Ronnie Cox couldn't have that. So basically, he sent his Kurtwood Smith, which is basically no Picard continuation, to take him out. So what did Metalis do? Well, fuck it. I'm going to Marvel.
Where unfortunately Kevin Feige, as opposed to using him as a new James Gunn, which is what he should have done, he had him work on this shitty Vision project, another continuation of WandaVision. I mean, Feige, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing?
He's using a low risk character to test Metalis to see.
I was going to say, I've been hearing some rumors.
Character. That's what he's doing. And if Metalis gets a hit out of this Vision, this White Vision show, guess what? Metalis is going to start rising in the ranks.
Yeah, well, too
it's
bad.
funny you say that, Script, because I heard something similar. Yeah, well, Andre, I was just going to say I heard something similar. Like, don't count this Vision project out yet. It might actually be one of the better things we get the next
Well, of course it's going to be, because it's Metalis. So I do not doubt for a second that it's going to be good. Because after Picard season 3, I'll trust Metalis with anything. Because the way that he was able to basically take all of the absolute franchise-destroying shit in season 1 and implement it into season 3 and make it work. I couldn't believe it. He made it work. He made it work with Robo Picard. And he made it work. It shouldn't be possible, but he found a way.
Is Ironheart still coming out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ironheart and Wonder Man's coming out. However, weird things out of Comic-Con, people are saying that the stuff that they've seen of Wonder Man has been surprisingly way better than what they've seen with the other Disney Plus shows, but I'm still apprehensive.
And I haven't seen anything come out about Wonder Man. I was surprised to hear that it was still on the docket.
And I am not impressed at all with them saying it's better. I mean, what are you comparing to? We're comparing to Secret Invasion.
Moon Knight and all those ones,
a
right?
random YouTube video by someone filming on their camera is better than any of those. So, I mean, that's hardly a ringing endorsement, is it?
Oh, yeah, that's what gives me my apprehensions to it. So,
yeah. But we should get into some of these super chats here.
Let's do some of these.
Before we do, though, I wanted to bring up a funny bit of business. Jonathan Majors has finally spoke out a bit about the whole Marvel business. I don't know if you guys saw this.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, did he try to compare himself to RDJ and Ezra Miller?
He did.
Well, Ezra Miller's not persona non grata in Hollywood, so
yeah, this is the stupid thing, and that was my response to him, or to this anyway. It says Jonathan Majors on Robert Downey Jr. and Ezra Miller getting second chances despite their criminal history. I think it's fair that Mr. Downey has been greeted with patience and curiosity and love, and Mr. Miller has gotten the same treatment. I didn't really get that. When Ezra Miller has nothing coming up on his IMDb. He is persona non grata in Hollywood. And you compare what you did to Robert Downey Jr.? No. All Robert Downey Jr. did was get fucked up, get caught with a prostitute, and also he fucking stumbled into some stranger's house and fell asleep in their kid's bed. That was it.
And the kid wasn't there.
And the kid wasn't even there. Yeah. Right. And even the people were like, they called the cops. I love the 911 call. It's fucking hilarious. It's like 911 dispatch. Yeah, I got somebody in my house. Okay, is there an intruder in your house? Well, it's Robert Downey Jr. Is he a threat? No, he's sleeping.
Just high as a kite.
He's just it's kind of like John Belushi used to do. He just fucking wander into people's house and be like, you know who I am? Yeah. Mind if I make a sandwich? Sure. And then he'd go fall asleep on their fucking couch. True fucking stories. Like
the
that
good old
happened during
days.
Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
They couldn't find John, and they found him in some guy's house down the street because he just wandered down the street and knocked on their door.
I guess Majors, somebody should tell Majors, hey, don't beat somebody next time and just go do drugs.
You know what I think? I mean, I put this out on Twitter already, or on X already, but I think that he mistaked Ezra Miller for Discount Ezra Miller and the Acolyte.
Oh, he thought he was Manny Jacinto?
Yeah,
wow.
Maybe. Because, yeah, like, I'm like,
Asian, but he's not. Yeah.
Where is he coming with this? Because even okay, just so you guys know, we haven't done any Ezra Miller updates lately, but there has been some updates in what's been going on there. He's even been losing a bunch of his supporters because he's been caught in a bunch of lies, and so have some of the other people that were involved in that shit. So it's not looking too good for him.
His career's over.
Yeah,
it's over. Oh yeah, it's already over. But I mean, at this point, if he was still somewhat popular, some of the shit that's been coming out, like a lot of the stuff he's been accused of, is looking like it's true. Like with the taking of a minor across state lines and all that kind of business. Yeah. Yeah. And,
yeah, it's time for community theater.
Trying to start like a cult and all that business. Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to go Jared Leto.
Yeah. He went full Jared Leto.
Never go full Jared.
You went full Jared Leto. Don't go full Jared Leto. Only Jared Leto can go full Jared Leto. Even Jared Leto has his limits. One of my favorite memes is that one we've used a couple times, Andre, where he's like, quit sending me this shit. It's the Joker meme.
I still have always wanted to see the full cut of the Suicide Squad.
Oh, well, Script knows about it, and he said it's not that much different, right?
It's almost negligible in difference. Maybe just the ordering and maybe less of the music that was injected into it. Because, I mean, I was there for the initial production working in props and set deck, and then I was brought back for the reshoots. And the reshoots were negligible. And guess what? It was David Ayer who wrote and reshot everything. It wasn't a Joss Whedon to Zack Snyder thing where a third party came in and changed it. It was all Ayer. So, I mean,
so then what is he always talking about? The Ayer cut, it's much better. It's
the one that he didn't have to do at the request of the studio. That's it.
See, that's the thing is you got to
listen to it with filmmakers who get to hide behind. Oh, I had a much better cut that you'll never see. Fingers crossed that you'll never actually get to see that it really wasn't anything better.
To him, it's probably a world of difference, right?
Yeah,
but it's probably not. It's darker, not as bright, not as much pop music. You know what it's probably like?
Yeah, what?
You guys have all you guys ever seen both versions of the movie Payback with Mel Gibson?
Yes. And I've also seen the other Payback movie with
the original.
No, well, it's a film noir one, and it's got what's her name in it. She played Black Scorpion. She was in.
You have to send me the info on this one.
See No Evil, the comedy with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor.
Oh, Hear No Evil, See No Evil.
Yeah, I think it's like Sharon something.
You have to send me that. I didn't know about that, but yeah. Anyway, my point is when Mel took over that production. Because the director was an incompetent boob. And you can tell by watching his cut, even though he thinks it's superior. He thinks it's superior. The studio let him do it because Mel Gibson was canceled and they wanted to release the movie. So they did it under the guise of it's the director's cut and all this shit. All it does is make the movie dark and depressing. It's not the movie that we got. See, I love the movie we got. That actually captures the tone more of what Parker's all about. Mel Gibson seemed to know what he was doing, in my opinion. I don't know if you'd agree with me or disagree with me or not, script, but I think the director's cut of that is horrible. But it's basically the same fucking movie. There's only a few minor differences other than the tone and a few connective tissue scenes. That's it.
Yeah, and I just double checked. It was Joan Severance in 1995 did a movie called Payback. Very different, same title, very different type of film.
Okay, never mind. This had nothing to do with it then.
Nothing to do with that, but it was definitely something that caused confusion because people thought, oh, is this going to be it's the Mel Gibson thing going to be a remake of that one? And
no, that was actually funny enough. It's more of a remake of Point Blank, which are both based on the same novel. But
Yep. But yeah, like that's the thing. It's Ayer's got his own cut that he thinks is superior. I don't know. The stuff that I saw didn't look very different.
But script, what about that? I was always hearing rumors about there's supposed to be an extra 45 minutes of Joker and Harley Joker story.
There's a murder. There's one where Harley and Joker murder a judge. That was shot. I was there for that. It was the stunt people that did it, not Jared Leto and them. The other part too is like if you want to see an actual cut it's out there. Well, not so much it's out there, but it exists, but we'll never see it. And that would be the original cut of Peyton List's Ant-Man Quantumania before Iger returned and got the whole last minute reshoots that happened in January for that they had to rush together.
See, now that's one I bet is a bit different.
That one would be, I think, significantly different because I know the ending of that. I've found two other people who are not connected to another person that I know who knows Peyton List way better, who also said, Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne were trapped in the quantum realm and Kang got into the normal, was released on Earth. That was the ending. And I'm like, wow, that's actually a dark, dour, holy crap moment ending where Kang, the worst of the worst Kangs, who is banished to the quantum realm, is now in New York or California in 2025. So yeah,
and they canceled and they removed that for the one that they released. That sounds actually much better.
Yeah, well, they did because it was not. So here, Ant-Man Quantumania was supposed to be the less funny of all the Ant-Man movies.
That was one that was being done under the Chapek regime.
Yes.
But that was the one, I think, if not the first thing or one of the first things when Bob came back that he ordered reshoots for.
Oh, technically it's what he ordered to be greenlit. But yeah, when Bob Iger came back, that was if you're thinking about Bob Iger, and I maybe got confused there, I apologize. But yeah, Bob Iger, as soon as he came back, like the week
who did I say?
You said Bob greenlit reshoots?
Well, greenlit reshoots, yeah. He's
but was it Iger or Chapek?
So Chapek greenlit.
Yeah, Bob Iger did. I'm sorry, I didn't say his last name.
Okay, too many Bobs, man. But yeah, so Chapek did the go ahead on Quantumania along with Deadpool, Wolverine, and a couple others, and then Bob Iger when he came in and because again, Quantumania had been finished principal photography by late July of that year. Well, Chapek was still in charge, and they were deep into post production. Rumor has it that Victoria Alonso was kind of delaying getting the final special effects plates rendered out so that they could finish complete editing. And then when Iger took back the crown of Disney and saw the preliminary cut of Quantumania, he's like, this doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. It's too dour, too dark, too whatever. Go back and make it funny like the other Ant-Man movies and like the Marvel movies. And this was done in early November, and I think they had to get everybody together over the course of the Christmas break, and then they started shooting their pickup shots in January, and one of those being Scott Lang on the streets with the birthday cake doing his walk around, because that photo was released around the same time. And so it basically seems like they reframed the narrative of it. They reshot a whole bunch of stuff on their digital volume thing, and just kind of rushed in, I would say a third of at least of the movie to get what they have at the end. And it was horrible. So I'm curious I know that assembly cut still exists somewhere on a digital file. I'd love to see it because I think it'd probably be something people would at least say, yeah, this is a far better Ant-Man movie than what Quantumania was.
Good. You think we'll ever see it, or
no? If it does get released, it's under new ownership.
Okay.
Disney's under new ownership.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the only way it's going to happen. So I would not anticipate seeing that until then. Let's go through some of these super chats and stuff. Psychotics been a member for 22 months, and we're glad to have you. So has STR Red Wolf, which is fantastic. Dr. Longdong sent us a £1.99 super sticker. Everyone, please smash that like. And Cope Sedefil says for $10, it's a bad sign that we know who the villain will be for the next 2 Avenger movies. But does it really matter if we don't care about the heroes fighting them? No one cares or likes the DEI averages for Avengers. And yeah, that is, of course, a good, very good point, because when you look at all of these new heroes that have been introduced over the course of Phase 4 and Phase 5, not a single one of them have clicked, and the intention was obviously for them to be the new Avengers movie. But I think that an Avengers movie starring Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel and which other characters?
Captain African American, is that the term we're using?
I always like Captain BLM, but yeah, I've heard the.
I've been calling him Captain African American. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think that if they were to build a new Avengers roster of the Phase 4 and Phase 5 characters, that's an Avengers movie that's not going to cross $1 billion. Hell, that's an Avengers movie that's not going to cross 800 million, even with Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Maybe that's why they need Robert Downey Jr., because the Avengers themselves are going to be a useless replacement bunch that no one cares about.
And who would they be, Andre?
We'll be seeing the movie for Dr. Doom because there's no one else to care about.
And heck, they'd love Dr. Doom if Dr. Doom killed some of them. So,
oh, that would be great. She-Hulk.
Oh yeah, I mean, no one's going to be missed. I mean, probably the audience is going to be rooting against these people. It's like, oh, he killed.
Go get him.
He killed Aquafina's character. Oh, so villain. Yeah, no one's going to be too upset with that. And on that note, Jason Webster says for $5 Australian, the Avengers will be Lady Thor, Ironheart, Mackie Captain America, female Black Panther, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel. And yeah, with
it's a Tampax commercial
like that. And we don't know that that's going to be the final roster, but let's just say that it will be, and that does seem pretty plausible. Maybe Doctor Strange will be in there, but with that kind of roster, yeah, you really do need Robert Downey Jr. because there's literally no other reason to see such a movie. I mean, that's going to be Marvels all over again, box office wise. That's a DEI Avengers right there.
It is, but Lady Thor, she's dead, right?
Yep. So
yeah, so she's gone.
You have Thor's daughter, Thor's adopted daughter.
Oh, that one. That's what they mean.
Stormbringer.
Yeah, but he's practically Lady Thor himself now, isn't he?
She is.
That's kind of like how that movie ended.
Yeah.
You don't need a Lady Thor when actual Thor is Lady Thor.
Well, I mean, even though that was a horrible freaking movie, I don't think that was ever meant to go on beyond that, obviously, from the way it ended. It was clearly a Natalie Portman payday, and that was about it.
Yeah, too bad all of us had to suffer through that. Couldn't they just give her a bonus behind the scenes? And Jason Webster also continues for another $5 Australian. Coming soon, new Avengers with Lady Thawed Out, Ironheart, Captain Flip the Bird America, Black Pussycat, She-Hulk. Yeah,
you know, this Hercules. Remember, they teased Hercules at the end of Thor 4.
If he even comes back now.
You know what? That was actually the part of like what I liked the most about that movie. Was Russell Crowe as the head of the Greek pantheon. That's the best suit I have ever seen on film. Rather, it was the best stereotypical Greek I have ever seen on film.
I thought it was
absolutely fantastic. I loved it. Just love
I couldn't stand it. It sounded like a French version trying to do a Greek god. I don't know. It was, I
know
liked
that you would
Olivier in
say
Clash.
But to me, as a Norwegian and more
Right.
partial to the Norse pantheon, I loved that take on the Greek pantheon, and I'd be all for.
Believe me, nobody I know in our Greek family and everybody else, we're like, what the hell is that? Is he anyway? But I liked Olivier in Clash the Titans. That was a good Zeus.
He's probably my favorite too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even what's his name? Liam Neeson's in the new Clash the Titans was much better.
I didn't care for those very much.
I didn't like him, but he was much better than.
I liked Wrath of the Titans when it was in theaters, when I saw it there, and then when I rewatched it a few years later, both the remade movies back to back, I was like, I'm never watching any of these again. I'll take the original.
And it was going to be a tough one for me anyway, because I was half-ass excited for the original because the first one, I should say, because the original is a favorite of mine growing up. So I was like, okay, it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. And then I was just completely disappointed in it. Like, you're not wrong. Probably Liam Neeson is the best part of the whole movie. But beyond that, like, just the way they treated the original and shit was horrible. But I know you got to get rolling here, George. Was there anything you wanted to plug before you head out?
No, we have the Sunday show coming up, and I'm working. Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't either till just now. Tennille says, with George, would you please slay Ubisoft next? They're rather unpleasant and quite incompetent. Commissar Google blocked the word slay. Oh, of course they did.
Ubislop is the worst, especially with Assassin's Creed and the Yasuki. Actually, I'm working on a video essay. It's going to be a little long. It's coming out at the end of this month. And then, I mean, everything they've done is they've just gone down that whole, didn't earn it policies route. It's disgusting. You have Japanese content creators, professors who are saying it's revolting the way that they're treating the culture. So I agree with you. And thank you for sending that. Appreciate it. Thank you, Andre, for having me on.
Here, George.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be able to be here starting next week more often.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So I can't wait. I hope to see you all later. Script.
All right.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Always a pleasure, sir. You always ask the best questions, man. I love them because they're not the normal questions, and they're the good ones to get people thinking and get people going, and that's what you need. That's
I appreciate it. Oh, I appreciate it. We all have a blessed week.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, we got Master Clockwork who sends in $2 and says, "Look, for all we know, this is a Doom bot."
Yeah, no, those were all of the other ones that were sounding behind there. Those were the Doom bots. But I see where it's coming.
Story to Screen Movie Review Podcast says, "Is it true that Hugh Jackman returned to Logan in the MCU included a stipulation act with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and RDJ's Iron Man?" I don't think any of those would be related. As far as the Tobey Maguire, honestly, guys, I would not get my hopes up too high about seeing those Spider-Men coming back again anytime soon, outside of maybe a quick cameo in some way, in some like Uber Secret Wars thing at the end, like where they have every single Marvel character all there at once in one big glorious shot. Because come on, that's how Secret Wars is going to end, just before they all realize that we're closing it down to one timeline. And when we get out of that, I have a feeling it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag, in a sense that, yes, we're going to get some actors that we love still around, but they're playing other characters maybe, or we're going to lose some other characters. It's going to be a weird situation, but I think that we're going to be on the other end. We will be in one timeline, right? So we'll have to see, but I wouldn't get my hopes too high on that necessarily. But
yeah, and just as for the question itself, I would be very surprised if there was such a stipulation. I wouldn't believe that for a second, that to come back for a Deadpool movie would include a stipulation about Maguire and Robert Downey Jr. I do not believe that. That is beyond the capacity of
any talent, really,
producers of one movie to produce a future movie. What say you, Script?
Well, not only that, talent doesn't really care about other talent. So why would Hugh Jackman come back for the conditions of Tobey Maguire and RDJ? Is like, what does he care about them? Really?
Exactly.
We already kind of have the story of how this came together, and basically we're getting the little bits and pieces from the interviews and such. But the short version is that this movie was dead in the water. It died on a vine when Bob Iger and Ryan Reynolds butted heads over what the third film was going to be. And a couple years went by. Hugh Jackman got divorced. He called Ryan Reynolds one day and said, I'm up for it. It just so happened that Bob Chapek was in office at that time, and bada bing, bada boom. That's how we got here. It was a lot like Spider-Man No Way Home.
It's not only that, like Ryan Reynolds was then texting every single person he knew and worked with at the same time to get them all on board. And he presented that essentially as a pitch to Bob Chapek saying, these guys will do it if you say yes.
And I'm sure he said, did you see what just happened with Spider-Man No Way Home? No, I want to do that with Deadpool. And that's probably how he practically pitched it to him.
Oh, yeah. And then he said, this is the cast I've got already ready to go.
Yeah.
And
probably that's exactly what happened. And
that's another reason why I think they got away with this story, because I'm already sure there was probably some Bob Iger jokes that were hit the cutting room floor.
Oh, definitely.
Because I keep reminding people, especially when they go, well, this movie has crappy villains. It's like, are you kidding me? It has the best villain we've ever had in the Marvel Universe, Disney.
Yeah.
This whole movie is predicated on the fact that Disney bought and killed 20th Century Fox, and that's why The Wasteland exists.
Paradox is a Disney executive.
Yep, Paradox is a Disney executive, basically.
Paradox is either Bob Iger or someone, and then Nova is maybe the bigger picture of Disney itself, or what have you. Like there's proxies with regards to.
She could almost be considered like the misinformed and misled woke crowd in a way.
Yeah, that's one option too. Absolutely.
I mean, she could be a reactionary Alan Horn.
That too.
God, especially.
There's that. But Alan Horn doesn't deserve that much credit.
Well, I mean,
that's what I mean. That's how,
I
mean, it's the moment that because like I liked the movie, but I had like some issues with it. But those all disappeared in the second viewing. I mean, those that say that there's like historical. No, there isn't. It's just things that you haven't seen. There's a meta story going here.
Yep,
and that's the key to understanding the absolute brilliance of this movie, which is just getting higher and higher and higher.
It's not as convoluted as you'd think.
MCU movies. It really
I've heard a lot of people either overcomplicate the plot to try and speak negatively about it, or they'll say it's a stupid plot, and I'm like, and to turn your brain off. It's like, I think both are doing a disservice. No, the plot is pretty simple. I'm not going to break it all down, but it is pretty simple when you stop and think about it. And I agree with you, Andre, especially on a second view, and you kind of get more of it. And I even think that one of the plot holes that people are pointing out in the beginning isn't so much a plot hole. I do agree, though, that there's some context and some other things that might be left on the cutting room floor, and they should have maybe shown a little bit more of we need a kind of a ticking time clock a little bit faster, or showing us more
they only gave you
why it's
72
important.
hours.
Yeah, more important to show us his world, though.
Well,
right, and how things are being affected.
Well, there's one thing that is missing, and that is the fact that the villain makes the critical error by actually telling Deadpool what he plans to do when there's no reason for him to ever told him anything to begin with in the first place.
That's true too. But otherwise, the other plot hole was in the beginning. In the beginning, everybody's like, well, he was in his own, he was in a multiverse in the beginning, and that's not what the thing did that he had. It's like, well, right, it wasn't that until Fox bought Disney, and that changed everything. So I think that's not so much a plot hole, because they set it up now that Disney bought Fox, all of a sudden Deadpool's in some alternate timeline as to where he wasn't before. He was just in a timeline, a linear timeline, right? So when he went back and saved Vanessa and did all that business, he's not in some alternate universe. He didn't screw up any multiverse business. It wasn't until Fox got killed that he's now been thrusted into this other timeline because of that. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm not going to read.
Well, the actual premise is that the timeline that he's from, that's also
going to deteriorate.
Is going to disappear in a few thousand years.
and they want to pluck him, since he's the best Deadpool, out of that timeline and put him in the 616. And he's like, well, if I can get a Wolverine,
real reason, really, like that's the convoluted part. That's the plot hole.
Well, I think it's because he's the best Deadpool. To be honest with you, I think it's alluded to, but it's not really said out front. Because if you think about it, that's where I think part of the joke is that in the Wasteland, that there's so many fucking Deadpools there, right? Because almost every Deadpool that's ever existed has been thrown into the Wasteland because, they're bad, they're no good. But this is the one good Deadpool, right? And just like that, and it's proven by because he even says, you know, you brought me the worst Wolverine. You could have brought me any other Wolverine and I would have accepted them, not this one, right? So it's Deadpool's goal then to make this Wolverine worthy. So Deadpool is able to do that, and I think that's kind of how we're being told that, yes, this is the best of all the Deadpools. He's even better than Goodpool, right? At the end of the day, he's the one Deadpool who actually is a good guy. And he makes Logan worthy at the end of the day. That's my whole point. But yeah. Daniel says with $5, what are the chances that Fantastic Four movie will just be about the team learning about pronouns and how people can be any gender? I hope the fuck not. Sadly, I think it's not going to matter as much overall as we think it will, because we don't know how much Robert Downey Jr. is going to play a role in that. It might just be minimal at first in, like, you know, human form as Victor Von Doom in that universe. Then they go off on their adventure, and then there's a tease at the end, and that's all we see on that. And that movie's kind of self-contained until they pop up in Doomsday, which is pretty much probably going to be like the same thing as Captain America, right? Getting Captain America to the modern day. That's what I think Doomsday is going to, the beginning of is going to be getting Fantastic Four to the modern day. They're going to show up, and that's going to kick everything off. So yeah, could be wrong, but we'll see. Cope CD Phil says them trying to go back to their peck is like an athlete who's done and is trying to relive their former glory. Doesn't work like that ever.
I think it means peak, and probably Michael Jordan from leaving basketball, going to baseball, and coming back to basketball type of analogy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, not often. Yeah, does it work out? I don't think this is going to work out the way they want it to either. That's the thing.
Again, it's like the highest target to hit, and I don't know if they have the reach.
Well, yeah. Pilgrim Media says, is the multiverse a tendril of DEI? No. The multiverse has been a part of Marvel for a long time. Even DC.
A part of comics since the 60s.
Yeah, since forever. So, like,
there's a lot of things we can blame on DEI, but there are some limits, and the multiverse definitely falls.
This was actually part of the plan. This we can say, because the plan was initially, it's funny because the Marvel universe was supposed to split off and branch off into two separate entities in a way, not like actual entities, but for a while the plan was Feige was going to oversee the multiverse side of things, while James Gunn was supposed to oversee the cosmic side of things. That didn't happen. So at one point, this was always kind of part of the plan, but yeah. And that's the way it should be, honestly. This is what I've been saying about Feige, is he's got to get it in his head that he is not this grand wizard god that he thinks he is. He is not a storyteller.
No.
He needs a James Gunn. He needs somebody there to go, look, this is what you need to do. This is how you know?
No. Kevin Feige is a traditional producer who then got a little arrogant with regards to the stories he's doing, and also with the people that he started selecting, or his cohort started selecting to shepherd the MCU. He thought he could probably be a kingmaker of sorts because he felt that way with all the other talent he had at that point. But the problem is that you can't be a kingmaker unless you have an eye for talent, and his eyes got plucked out somewhere after Avengers. and then everything that he's bringing in, which is the same people over and over again, he wasn't bringing in people for them to mentor, to work into an escalated scale of building out and branching out your staff and company. And then when the big Paramount guys, McFeely and McPherson and the Russo brothers left, he had nobody that was up to the task to take over. And that's just it.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got Kareen. Hey, how you been? Been a while since we've seen you. Or at least seen a super chat from you. I haven't seen you in a while in the chat, at least.
Yeah, we're glad to see you now.
Yeah. Can we say Jen Powell is
Glenn
a movie
Powell.
star? I think she meant Glenn Powell. Yeah.
Glenn Powell. Yeah.
His last 4 to 5 movies have been hits at the box office, back to back hits, December and July. Yeah. He is a natural born, he's a natural made star, unlike the ones we've talked about where they've tried to force and thrust them upon us.
He's not there yet because the one movie that he's the leading man in, where he's like this bounty hunter or this investigator posing as it, did not perform well actually at all. That's where he's literally holding the movie on his shoulders. With regards to Top Gun Maverick, he's a supporting role. With regards to Twisters, he's kind of also a supporting male lead, just like he was with the Anyone But You, Sydney Sweeney movie. He's not there yet, but he's got the chops to be.
He's getting there.
What's the Bounty Hunter movie? Because maybe that was a marketing problem. Because I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's not. I think he's an undercover cop who pretends to be someone else, and it's supposed to be like a thriller and romance mystery.
The fact that you can't tell me the title is part of the problem.
Yeah, and that's the other part too. Like that's the only because again, he hasn't really been in 4 to 5 movies since December to July. He's been in maybe 3. So.
But yeah, no, Corinne, I see what you're saying, and I agree. He's not a movie star yet, but he is getting there. And when he gets there, which I think he will, it will have been completely organic, and he will have worked for it because he's someone that's been working for 20 years. So good on him. And there's like rumors that and of course we don't know if they are real rumors or if they are put out by his camp just to get more attention for him, but that he is one of those that James Gunn is looking for as Batman. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Jen Powell is just going up and up. So not the star
Jen
yet,
Powell.
definitely.
Yeah.
Glenn Powell.
I was
looking
at
at
called
Glenn Powell.
Hitman. It is called Hitman. It came out in 2023. It's
Oh,
watched it.
okay.
It's on Netflix. He's only done 2 movies, and
Actually, that's a movie.
Twisters. Yeah.
Actually, Hitman's been getting, now that you mentioned the name, I know what you're talking about. That's one that people have been talking about now. They've been going back and seeing it now.
Yeah, and then Devotion was there beforehand. That's an Air Force World War II.
He kind of reminds me of where Sydney Sweeney kind of is right now.
Well, yeah, Sydney Sweeney's more of a name that
farther
we'll go to. Glenn Powell is not quite there yet, but he's getting very close. He's got a couple of he's in the Running Man, supposed to be in the Running Man remake, leading that. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's a bad choice for him. I don't think that's a good choice at all.
And he's doing some television roles among that as well. He's taking anything he can get at the moment to see if he can get a reach to the audience so that people actually really do recognize him. Because again, he's been in over 50 things in the last 25 years. So
I don't think Running Man's a good idea. Yeah.
No, that's a terrible idea. You should
there's only certain Henry Cavill doing Highlander makes sense. Henry Cavill's at a certain place with a name. The IP of Highlander isn't exactly, Ghostbusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a marriage that could work. Name me one Stephen King or remake from the 80s or 90s that has yet to be good. That has come out in the last 10 years.
I'll race you another one. Give me one Schwarzenegger remake of something that wasn't a pre-existing property, at least not widely known to be, where the audience sees Schwarzenegger and then have another person take on their Schwarzenegger role and have that project be successful. It has been tried a few times.
Yeah,
it has
Recall
never worked.
And I still am not sure you can do a Terminator movie without him necessarily. I know some people are like, oh, you sure could, but I'm like, I don't know. He's kind of the face of the franchise. I'm not saying you should keep bringing him back. No, I'm saying let it die.
Well, you could, but not with the scripts that they've been doing. But moving on here.
It's El Turiel?
Go
ahead.
Says, what angers me most about his first black elf is that it can be done. One parent human from Harad, another elf, and here you have an interesting story, which is something that you don't have in the Rings of Power, which unfortunately we probably will have to be watching a little bit still when it comes out in a month here. Chris K says for $2, Internet Historian has a good bit on theater. Oh yeah, go check that out. And also check out his video on Costa Concordia, one of the best videos on YouTube. Jesus Davila sent a super sticker for $1.99. Everyone please smash that like.
Thank you,
and
Jesus.
Stenil89 says for $5, Tom, Lorena called Jared Leto reincarnated Kevin Federline. I can't disagree.
I don't know about
with
that.
But I don't. I think that you have to be dead first in order to be reincarnated. But
I was gonna say,
see where she's coming from. Yeah,
Jared Leto thinks he's Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Like that's tall order right there.
Yeah.
Jay sends in $5, says DEI Avengers will kill RDJ's character and they declare it victory for feminism and then get mad at everyone who disagrees.
This is what Kevin Feige has done to Marvel. That jokes like these even can be uttered.
I don't think he's joking, but Oh, one of the versions of RDJ, we're going to get probably 2 versions here. That's the thing. They're going to do that face-off thing, like in the comics where you have Iron Man versus Iron Man Doom, right? That's what it's going to be.
Could be, yeah.
I guarantee it. That's why he's getting paid so much. They're going to show him a lot. He's not going to be stuck behind a mask as much. Maybe his Doom a little bit more. But I think they will show, like you said, they'll show the Iron Man vision or whatever the hell you want to call it on both of them.
I think what we're probably going to get is a Man in the Iron Mask allegory story.
Could be, but I'm thinking it will have the them battling each other, fighting each other. But when it's Tony, it'll be the red or orange stuff around him. When it's Doom, of course, it'll be green.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is that
that's how stupid they are now.
They're not. Well, they were stupid. I don't know if they're going to be that way again, because again, they brought in filmmakers that can actually challenge. Again, the Russo brothers can actually challenge Kevin Feige on creative decisions now. They are in that position. I think fans would be really upset if you started showing Dr. Doom's real face behind that mask, and that's why I think they went with RDJ right now.
I hear you, but this is a Judge Dredd situation, no script. You do not pay Robert Downey Jr. $50 million fucking dollars,
right,
just to have him behind a mask and do a voiceover. That
exactly, which means that he's not playing really Dr. Doom.
Well, we knew that. That's why I said it's going to be 2 roles anyway. But yeah.
Well, it might be 2 roles, but it might also be something else. I think they're going to avoid the variant stuff because of the fan politics behind that.
I think you're wrong, and that's where I wish I wasn't away when you said that, because that was why I found that. Glad I have that clip, because I saw that the other day, and that's what I've been thinking is, no, I think you're wrong. They don't think that. You think that, and you're possibly right. But we just had one of the most successful Marvel openings on an R-rated film, even on top of that all.
Yeah.
With a Wolverine variant, and nobody gave a shit. Nobody cares. In fact, everybody's saying this is the best Wolverine, even better than Logan. So I see where you're coming from, but I think what they're going to do is find a way to pluck another Robert Downey Jr. out of another universe that isn't as worthy into this one, because of course it's going to be Iron Man as the anchor being. What's going to fuck it all up is that variant version of Dr. Victor Von Doom showing up. And then that's what's going to force them to have to go find another variant of Robert Downey Jr. And that's going to be our new version of Iron Man. Because go along with what Endgame did. They went out of their way to make time travel convoluted in that movie. Don't think they're not going to convolute this multiverse shit. Because like I said, when it all comes closing down, and when it all comes closing down at the end of Secret Wars, don't be surprised if you've got some characters being played by people you didn't think they were going to be playing and other things like that, just because they're going to do it that way, because they're going to want to bring back certain people again. So, I mean, Chris Evans, we already got. So he's probably the only ones that we don't have to worry about coming back in any other character, and Thor. Like, those are the only 2 who are probably safe at this point. Right. But other than that, because we already know there is that tease, and we know that tease is going to be leading up to one of these Avengers films where Daredevil or Deadpool's going to find out why Thor was crying. I guarantee you that was a tease for one of these movies.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was just a nice little trick composite of a shot for shot of Thor Dark World. But yes.
But it's going to come into play, I bet.
The other part, too, is that, I mean, if they are going to go for that route, what I fear is that they're just going to repeat the Logan story from Deadpool Wolverine and apply it to RDJ.
They are. I'm not. And that's exactly what I'm saying. But it's going to be on a grander scale, and they're going to do it in the form of Endgame. Don't think that this is not going to, they're going to try and recapture the feeling of Infinity War and Endgame. They're going to pull in every single character you can ever think of into this thing. But by the end of it, there's only going to be a select few left, and that is going to be your Avengers going forward. That's my hunch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They'll probably even pluck, Chris Evans out of his 1940s marriage with Peggy Carter and all that stuff, and bring him back here or something of that nature.
That's plausible, and then just fuck up that storyline. But anyway, that being said, we got a few more super chats, and then we're going to get out of here. Tennille says, more like Michael Jordan's stint with the Wizards. Yeah. Tennille says, with another 5, Sydney Sweeney at least had the additional benefit of 2 fantastic assets. I won't boobs. I mean, mention. Yeah, I think he means mention. Yeah, mention boobs. Yeah. 2 great assets.
there's that, and she's also got a charm to her as well.
And
I
the
think her
real
charm
life
is big.
attitude, and that's the big thing, a real down to earth attitude, which could just be a marketing ploy. That's like her public persona, and who knows if that corresponds with the real her. But still, that public persona is one that many find much more likable than many other stars.
And she's already pushing to move into directing when she's at her peak right now, which means that she's a committed filmmaker. Like, most women don't get into production or directing until they've hit that proverbial wall, as it were. And she's good few years away from that. And she's already saying, nope, screw it. I'm going into production. I'm getting into directing. I want to be continuing.
Well, that's kind of the Elizabeth Banks /
Well, she's doing it good 10 years before Elizabeth Banks was doing it. That's the other thing. Elizabeth Banks was not interested in that stuff until she started aging out.
Wow. She was a little younger and still playing roles. That's what, because wasn't she pretty young still when she did the singing movie?
Singing movie?
The ones with the girls.
No, she only did the third one.
Well, she only did the third one? I thought she had stuff to do with all three of them.
No, she didn't get into directing until her 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought she was attached to all three of them, though.
Well, evidently not. But do we have any Rumble rants to go through?
No, I just checked actually while you guys were ranting there.
All right, perfect. Well, with that, we are fully caught up. So, Script, anything you want to plug on the way out the door?
Yeah, just this Saturday, Scripts on Saturdays, we'll be reviewing a Cops and Robbers screenplay called Upset. So go check that out, 7 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah, indeed. Eastern. And then go check out the guys over at Midnight's Edge Espanol. This stream will redirect to there. And then later today, we have a video dropping. So be sure to check back for that in, I don't know, maybe an hour or so, thereabouts. So do check back for that. And with that, Tom, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, but she's not here right now.
Well, then, with that, we shall just carry on.
I have my physical media show later, but for those, I've seen quite a few people asking where the hell I went earlier. So just so you know, this is where I went earlier to get one of these. Two of these, actually.
Tom has come such a far way since the left walked away.
The neighbors ain't gonna like it probably, but fuck them.
Yeah, I'm proud. So yeah, with that, everyone, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Well, I did some checking, Andre. These are actually cocaine koalas in the rain, and they got lots of fucks to give. They want a bump, baby. They're pissed.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain.